we've made a lot of good memories over the years at High Lie. Most recently, Greg Cody coughing until he passed out there on the floor, scaring everybody. But I've never before heard in our offices somebody questioning Cyclones management.
It's happened a lot.
Yeah, quite frequently.
Yeah, usually from the same source.
It's the first time
one particular person won't shut up about it.
It's the first time I'm hearing criticism of Cyclones management. And Billy, you mentioned, well, who's in charge over there? And it's Chris Cody's face that's on the giant billboard that suggests he's the owner of the Cyclones. Although Mike kind of acts like the owner of the Cyclones. He was dressed at the last High Lie event. He was
back to
dressed
stirring some shit, huh?
He was dressed in peach.
This is what he does. He tells partial stories. And then the audience is like, whoa, that's crazy behavior. Yeah. There's context missing, important context.
So feel free to offer it.
So Mike came in and he said something like, it's a good time to be a Cyclone. And I said, I guess they played yesterday. You can go to Friday games, but you can bet on Tuesday games. It's a whole Monday game.
You always leave Cyclones games with money.
Every time I leave every time I've been to a Cyclone game on a Friday, I leave with actual American cash in my hand. It's the wildest thing.
Can't sell it better than that.
I don't exactly understand the grift.
And it's like $80 too.
Dude, it's like real money. Like
I've won some money there too.
Yeah, it's crazy. And if you kind of like, I'm not going to tell people my secrets because I want to keep leaving with the money. But like, if you coordinate with, people, you can guarantee money leaving out there. It's great. Anyways, the point is this. Mike was saying it was a great day to be a Cyclones fan, whatever. And I said, how's, the season going? Who's on the team? And they're like, oh, and it's the same names. And I was like, guys, I kind of feel like it's time to shake things up and start with a clean slate because every year we're hearing the same names on the Cyclones. And it's been damn near 4 years since we've brought 4 seasons, whatever, since the Cones have come back home hoisting the Commissioner's Cup of High Lie, the Ray Lewis Cup or whatever it's called.
A lot of banners up there now between ours. Like
ours
was the first one, and now it's just a bunch
But
of
every year
ones.
there's a draft, and every year it's the same exact team with like one different person, it seems. So I was saying I feel like, and I haven't checked out the squad yet
You were
year.
questioning management.
I was questioning the draft technique, and then I was questioning, well, who's actually in charge? Because based on how the team is doing is who's in charge,
what
I've learned.
What I learned is that one time the draft was conducted by Fuentes,
Yes.
which suggests no one's in charge.
That's exactly right. Like, he was out there.
We're just making stuff up.
They handed out varsity jackets one year to all of their players, like a season ago or something, right?
Bomber jackets.
Okay, bomber
Another
jackets.
inaccuracy.
A season ago. And then Fuentes is attending the draft, and
He's a member of the front office.
did he or did he not give a speech draft night one year?
He did.
Okay, so
but he never made a pick. Like, God, we would never.
He was acting as though he was making the picks.
He's a part of the think tank.
Mike's face is there, or Chris's face is still on the wall. Mike was there dressed to the nines last Friday doing interviews with all of the media.
A peach suit.
Guava. Another inaccuracy.
Wow. Fuentes is head of scouting. I
So
don't know.
he's
what's the issue?
Okay, so if he's head of scouting, then he is the one that's to blame for the roster.
No,
is he not?
What is to blame? All right, we're a top 2 team in Battlecore right now. All right, what are we doing?
But how far into the year are we?
We have a game in hand. We're 6 matches in.
Of 15.
It's also hard to rebuild in the draft if you win because you're punished for winning.
But they don't win.
Yeah, we've done plenty of losing.
No,
they don't win.
The worst,
That's the thing.
well, you won the one time.
Right. Well,
and now you suck.
We were runners up 2 seasons ago.
They're second.
And that's the worst
So
spot
you had to
draft
draft second to last.
There you go.
It's a tough one. And look, we went into this
Out
draft
of 4 teams
looking to reshape the roster.
16.
We only added one new face. Ikeda came back. He was away for a season, but we added Iñaki, who was a former Division 1 player. He's now in Division 2.
Division 1 what?
A front quarter.
High Lie?
Yeah.
Where do they play college High Lie?
No, it's not college. It's his ranking.
You don't know Pelota.
You question management, but you don't know Pelota. They're
I'm
right
just
about
saying,
that.
Look, everybody's talking about this Manu and how great he is every season.
It's
you
the
guys
world's
don't
best
bring.
backcourter.
Okay, well, you don't bring home
still
anything.
around?
Maybe you trade Manu
Is
and
he
you
still around?
and you load up
Manu?
on picks. You know
don't-
what I mean?
Well,
Not how it works.
Look,
Or you get a bunch of players. Guys, you are in charge of this league. This league needs you. You make your own rules.
Slippery Savin's in charge of this league.
we are top
Who?
2 in the league. What is happening?
Out of 4 teams.
6.
Oh.
More inaccuracies.
I don't blame them for blaming management, though, because you guys came out strong and you won the championship immediately. And since then, it's just been a lot of division fighting and sending Fuentes
Well,
out
like one
there
division, actually.
to take blind. No,
Cubs
there's.
fans are disappointed.
Don't tell me there's only
Your
one
D's
division.
had the trophy.
Six
Yulee
divisions.
Monsters had the trophy. Everyone's been walking around. Ray Lewis has had the trophy. I feel like Pitbull was there, then he wasn't there.
I
no one
saw
knows what happened in that
management
situation.
weakened because Highlight is pushing Mike around because the Tony Tonight from Highlight has not run yet. And I saw Mike getting
What?
pushed around.
Yeah.
Was Roger Stone in that episode?
We're being bad partners. Roger hasn't been there this season. I think he was at CPAC.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We can't go out, man, forget about peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man, so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I don't know if this is true of the rest of you. Too many of my evenings are spent sort of scrolling through trailers on things I don't think are going to be any good and then going to bed because I can't find things that I want to watch. And I don't know if this is happening to everybody, but Jessica she has embarked on something before the weekend that I think a lot of people do. You are not one of them, Greg Cody. I don't know. When's the last movie you saw in a theater?
Rocket Man.
Okay.
A couple of years ago.
Relatively recently.
Yeah.
years ago?
That was like 6 years. That was before COVID.
Harlan Williams?
Was it? And before that, it was Swing Vote.
Not Harlan Williams.
great
no,
movie.
not Harlan
This
Williams.
was Taron Egerton, the Elton John movie.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica is trying to watch all of the Best Picture nominees before Sunday, and I get tempted by that sometimes when they group it for me, and they're like, here, these are guaranteed to be good, right? But I don't have the stamina for it. And I've tried to do that in years past, and I quit after half of the first one because I chose one that was a little too arty.
Is it arty or artsy?
It's artsy.
If you're Dan, it's not farty.
Okay.
You know that.
It is,
Well, because
it's
I've heard
farty in my
gutty and
sleep.
gutsy before, and we need to figure that one out. But arty or artsy? I think it's artsy.
Where do you watch trailers? Do you guys remember when Max used to come with like a little thing at the bottom where you could just watch a bunch of movie trailers?
No.
It was
No, that sounds
awesome.
Great. I will say the trailers I saw before the movie I watched yesterday didn't look that good. One of them was like a Rami Malek iRobot meets Taken trailer. Jim.
Why are we making faces on iRobot meets Taken? I thought all the boys always loved anything meets Taken.
No, but Rami Malek too.
It just didn't look interesting.
I
to
have
me.
a certain set of skills.
Exactly. He's like a tech guy and he's trying to get revenge for his wife. I don't know.
Particular set
Too
of
many
skills.
robot movies out there right now.
And Rami Malek was like mean to someone that he went to school with. Rachel Bilson. You guys know that story?
He was mean to Rachel Bilson.
Yeah,
I had
Rachel
such a
Bilson
crush
put
on
out
her.
like a picture, like he won an award or he was going to win an award. So like she put out a picture of like, oh, here's me with Rami, like in high school. But he was a little chunkier than he was at the time. And then he like apparently, as legend has it, reached out, as I remember the legend has it, he reached out and was like, please take that down. And then
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
I
like the
do
whole
remember
thing.
this
Just
story.
like someone's trying to be nice to him and be like, I'm so happy for my friend that I've known since high school. And then he was a giant D word.
That was a
to
while
her.
ago,
Yeah,
though.
I'm never going to forgive him.
It was
You don't
that
cross
was also
Rachel Bilson.
pre-COVID times.
Is Malek the guy who played Freddie Mercury?
Yes, that was. I think that was in the Bohemian Rhapsody era.
Yeah.
That is your father trying to keep up with the conversation, and he's proud of himself for knowing who an actor is. This is what happens with age. I'm not even blaming him. I'm just recognizing him.
I feel like he knew that answer and just wanted to get
That's
in
correct.
on the
That's all.
conversation.
That's all that happened there. But I want to get into what it is. And good call by you. You saw your father clearly there. He just wanted to participate, show that he knew something. Was asking as if he didn't know, but knows.
I thought I knew.
No,
I like that move. Set yourself up for a
yes,
spike.
it is. That's exactly. Well, he's good. He's good at that on Tuesdays. But you, Billy, talking about the idea of these Taken movies. I thought that those are the. That's a fine. That's a fine.
Yeah, that's a fine.
So-
What's a fine?
Your phone.
Your
went
phone
off.
just went off. You
Oh, it
can't.
did?
You can't. How is it that we
I
all
turned it
hear?
off.
How is it that we can all hear a phone that's near you better than you can, even
I
though
have
it's
earmuffs on.
we all do, and they're not ear muffs. That's not an ear muff.
Yeah. All that talk about trailers for sale or rent.
That's
Oh,
right.
for the love of
how,
God!
How
okay.
long is a trailer?
I mean,
Because
God,
I've seen trailers
About
that are like
15, 20 feet.
They shouldn't be more than a minute.
15 cents.
Yeah. Sale or rent. Trailers should not be more than a minute. They used
Yeah.
to be short. Now they're like 5 minutes. They're like
I
mini
don't think
movies.
they're ever 5 minutes.
I've seen
There's some
trailers.
long ones. Yeah, Greg's right about
The
that.
two
Chris
and a
is right
half
about
minute
15
trailers,
feet.
I do feel like I've seen the movie
Thank
at
you.
some point.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought I saw somewhere there was a state that was trying to pass a law, and it could be fake because the internet's not real. There was a state that was trying to pass a law where you had to say the start time of the trailers and the start time of the actual film. And a state was trying to implement that.
Yeah, introduce legislation.
That would be great,
to-
huh?
That's very
Have
silly.
Also, no homeowners tax.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, we don't need municipal services. I think that part of the thrill of going to the theater is sort of ballparking when the movie's going to start. Like yesterday, I walked in right at showtime. Perhaps for someone who is not a seasoned moviegoer
Really?
veteran, because we were perfect timing.
You don't
Got in
like
there,
the
got
trailers?
cozy. No, I do, but I want to kind of get there right as the trailers are ramping up. So I've got like 6 or 7 minutes, and then I'm cozy by the time the movie.
She's a
starts.
celeb. She needs to sneak in and out of theaters
Yeah,
so that
it's so
there's not
true.
people talking to her with the lights on.
Thank
Well,
you.
I would think at this point the theaters are pretty empty, and you can get in them pretty easily. I would assume. I thought theaters were largely dying. Do I have this wrong?
I think
did
there's
Tom
been a
Cruise,
resurgence.
He saved them.
of theater going in the last couple years. Yeah, especially because there's been so many good movies that have come
Well,
out. Dune 2 in theaters. I mean, a spectacle.
I don't know if you guys wonder about this, right? But as we continue to gravitate toward convenience in a way that makes Bezos so rich, what is happening in movies is the same thing that's going to happen in sports, is it not? Where people realize that the convenience from home and the ability to also get ADD from home, where you can check in on other things all the time, is more fun than going to the theater. This is all coming to sports, is it not? I don't know if it'll
It's not
come.
more fun. It's more convenient.
Well, no, but yes, more convenient, but also just more. If you're at home, you get to be more in the devices and more in the things that disconnect you from the energy of sports. This is not true in college football, but this is what's happening in theaters, is it not? That the reason theaters die is because people have the convenience of, I'll just watch it at home for $20 in my underwear.
But like at sporting events, if I turn around and I call someone an MFer and I push them, I'm a great fan. If I do it at home, I'm a bad dad.
Plus, I find being on my couch in only my underwear not like I like to at least throw a sweater on. Just my underwear, I get chilly.
Do you
With
not
you.
believe this is coming to sports? Or is it not? Is it already here with sports? It is.
It's coming, for sure. We saw that in the Unrivaled League, where they barely let fans in. They don't need fans. But I've always said, long before the streaming age, one of my complaints about going to a stadium is that you learn less at the game than you would watching it on TV in instances such as injuries. If a player is injured, you're asking the guy sitting next to you, what happened to him? You never find out.
I guess what I'm asking you guys, you know how you look back at those photos of baseball games in the 50s and people are going in suits and a top hat to the game? Are we going to look back at this time 30 years from now and be like, look, all those people used to go to the games. Those people used to go and have to sit there because they wanted to be close to what it is that's happening. If that can happen to theaters, why wouldn't it happen to sports? It's already, you don't want to bother with the parking. The Saturdays and Sundays, I think, are different.
But what year is this? Theaters are rebounding some. This is a conversation, like people not going to sports and people not going to theaters. This is like a 2021 conversation. Like there's a little bit of a rebound.
I do think there's a threshold of ticket prices at which maybe attendance will drop, because it's getting very, very expensive to go to games. Like, very, very expensive, and like not good games sometimes. But I think the in-person experience at a theater is still something you can't get at home, just like the in-person experience at most stadiums and arenas is something you can't get at home. So you're paying to have the experience, not just to watch the game.
Dan, you articulated something that, yeah, I guess I want to be surrounded by my devices if it's a movie I kind of want to see. Yeah, that's fine. This is a nice supplement. Like, I'll give it a chance. But if it's a movie that I'm excited about, if it's Nosferatu, I want to see it as the filmmaker intended. I want to be.
I didn't like Nosferatu that much.
It's all right. It's a mustache, right? It's divisive.
No, actually, it wasn't the mustache. I just thought the middle portion was a little boring.
I can understand that.
If I really want to see a movie, I'll only take my phone out like 6 times throughout the movie.
Jessica, you weren't here yesterday, but I still haven't recovered from my wife deciding on Nosferatu at 7 a.m. on Saturday. I still haven't gotten the cold off of me from that movie.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did like it. Well, but I liked
Very
it.
spooky.
I liked it because I just rarely feel these days. I don't know if you guys do this. I just rarely feel these days especially with period pieces, like a transporting. But I'm telling you, it's 7 a.m. on a Saturday. That's aggressive. And I feel like I made a mistake I still haven't gotten off of me on Tuesday. I've got a film on me that feels uncomfortable because I've visited the depths of hell.
Bobby Eggs. That's what he does.
And it was romantic.
You should do Christmas Morning Lighthouse. That's what I do.
Was it romantic?
I mean,
Like watching it with your wife or the
no,
film?
just eternal love, running dark.
That wasn't really the message.
I think it was the opposite of that.
Bram Stoker.
Bram Stoker. All right. My guy.
That was the first time I was introduced to dark love. I didn't like it back then in the 80s. Whatever it is that vampires are supposed
Francis
to
Ford
represent.
Coppola's? I think that was like 92. I've traveled oceans of time.
You got to check out Twilight, Dan.
You would love it. There's a really good baseball scene in the first movie.
Are you going to get to Sunday and watch all of these movies that the Best Picture nominees?
I have one ginormous hurdle in my way. The Oscars are indeed this week. Sunday, March 2nd, I believe, is the date. The Brutalist. It's 3 hours and 35 minutes long, and that is my last hurdle.
I paused Conclave in the middle of it last night to go to bed at 9. Because,
Their marketing is getting out of control, by the way.
well, I mean, it's a perfect time to watch Conclave, although I do hear the Pope is rebounding.
I hope so.
Greg Cody, do you want to participate in the conclave conversation? Do you want to throw out anything about Freddie Mercury?
No, the conclave doesn't appeal to me as much. I don't want to, Vatican-based, I assume, Catholicism. I don't care too much about that.
Stanley Tucci's in it.
It's fine.
Ray Fiennes is in
The
it.
movies, to me, took a big downward turn. We'll watch the Oscars Sunday because my wife is totally into award shows and red carpets and all that, so I will watch it, but you got to go back to 5 nominees for Best Picture. What do they have now, 12, 10?
10.
Way too many.
You don't care, though.
Way too many.
You didn't see the 5 when they had the 5.
But it was a digestible number. Like, when it was 5, there was a chance that I could name all 5 nominees, and I would therefore
You're smirking
because
you just...
No,
he's right.
10 is too many.
I mean, they're doing that to get people
Everybody
to the
knows it.
movies.
Huh?
They're doing that. They're doing that to get people to the movies.
I think it's good that there are more movies getting recognized for being well-made movies, even if they don't really have a
But
chance
they're
of
not
winning.
really.
Have 25.
Like,
No,
it's
they are.
just-
I
25
haven't seen a bad movie yet. I've seen movies that I was like, this isn't the best thing.
Any
I've
bad
seen.
But there's
movies produced
ones-
by Netflix.
There's ones in there
Which
that they
one are
know
we
are not
talking
going to
about?
win. They're just doing it to do it.
Right,
And then you say,
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
Academy Award for Best
Amelia
Picture.
Perez.
nominee.
Even Amelia Perez, I didn't care for the story, but it's a well-made movie. I could see it getting nominations for editing and production and stuff like
There
that.
aren't going to be any bad movies that are nominated, right? There might not be movies that are popular that people like, but there's not going to be any such thing as a nominated bad movie, is there?
I hope Wicked wins. I'm just going to come out and say that. There are movies that I have enjoyed more than Wicked, but I love the message that Wicked sends. And practical effects, practical set design, big sweeping cinematic musicals, like it harkens back to a previous time. And I think you really should encourage that type of filmmaking.
The Oscars in my house were just a yearly tradition where my dad annoys my brother saying that he could be an actor.
Well,
Can you?
Jerry Jones can.
Yeah, I
Like growing up, every year, my brother and my dad would be arguing with each other because my dad would just be like, "Yeah, you give me a month, I could go win Best Picture."
well, I couldn't direct a film. Could I star in a film?
You got to be shitting me.
That's what I'm saying.
What type of film?
You have to be shitting me.
Okay.
You think you
All
could
right.
Hold on.
star in a
Okay.
We've
film?
done
No.
bits around here where you've had to act.
Okay.
Are you joking?
No.
Well, we didn't give him a month. In fairness.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right. There are different skills for different things, right? Could I hit a 105-mile-an-hour fastball? Probably not.
Probably
You
not.
know, I'd make contact, but it wouldn't go out of the infield probably. You know, could I take a handoff and run in an NFL game? Yeah, but I'd lose 3 yards. But acting to me is an art form, a skill that is attainable. If you have any talent for performance,
You
at all.
think you can star in a movie when the one time we were on stage, you missed your cue and went running right past the microphone
Yeah,
because
that's not a movie.
There was one rehearsal too, not a month.
Right.
Greg said a month.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get back to this in a second.
Okay.
you-
I'm watching White Lotus last night. Good series, by the way. Movie, whatever you call it.
Which episode are you by?
Series.
The second one.
Yeah.
We just watched the second one. I'm watching that, thinking to myself, frankly, these are some roles that someone like me could play.
Yeah.
Which role specifically do you think you could play from White Lotus?
You know what? I don't. It's the new
don't do
season,
names.
and I'm too in.
the
so
father,
Yeah.
the,
Give him time.
the
Jennifer
father who's in
Coolidge.
trouble, who keeps
Jason
going out with
Isaacs?
his
You
phone.
think you could do Jason Isaacs' role?
The brother that we saw as Wiener.
What about my role?
You know, I do think you could play her ex-husband.
Okay.
Your father,
come on.
Your father didn't recognize your impersonation. He's in the White Lotus
who is it?
conversation. Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh, that she's not in it anymore.
Me.
Okay.
How do you not recognize your son's impersonation from White Lotus?
Okay, because he's referring to someone who was in the last season's White Lotus,
Yeah,
not this season.
he's
I
trying to
love
keep
that they
up.
completely changed cast.
Which
every
is the
year.
role
Well,
you
they-
think you
they
could
don't.
play?
I can
part of
play.
it.
I can play the guy who's not the main guy who's in trouble
The
and
fa-
always on the
not,
phone.
not the father who's in trouble on the phone.
The other man.
My
Walton
dad-
Goggins.
who's
my
always in a
dad-
bad mood.
Wait a minute.
and-
You think you could be Baby Billy?
Yeah. Yes.
One of the great
exactly.
character actors of our
Yeah,
time.
like a sour individual. I can play that.
Yeah.
You know, that's me.
Greg Cody thinks he could do Goggins?
He just said he could do Jason Isaacs like 5 seconds ago. Greg, I think you could actually play Greg in the show.
I can't believe that Greg Cody. Greg,
Wait,
look,
Greg, do you know which one Greg is?
No.
It's only 2 episodes.
I haven't memorized all the names.
He was only in the other 2 seasons.
It's your name.
Go on the
is it?
record and say acting is hard.
here's what we have happening here, and I love that people get to see it, okay? Because it's part of being in that chair. It's part of who Stugotz is, and Greg and Stugotz have somehow over the years, both of them, been diagnosed with Dunning-Kruger, which is that they think they can do anything, even though neither one of them can do anything. Stugotz is presently not here because he's in Australia right now, and he's looking to secure some sort of digital media company opportunity, and he's calling it, I'm not sure whether it's Operation Boomerang or Operation Bloomin' Onion or Operation Boomerang Bloomin' Onion, but he thinks he can do anything. Cody thinks he can do anything. It is asinine for you to think that you could star in a vehicle if we give you a decade of training.
Well, hold on a second. Dan, you just walked on and you were on an HBO show.
Thank you.
So why can't
Hey,
Greg
I'm
be on
not-
an HBO show?
Because I had 2 lines. It
I
took
know.
9 hours and I was stiff.
And may I be frank? That was an amateur actor.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a
How
great
would you have done it?
That was a great performance as Frank.
I'm going to get you the script, Greg, and then see
You
if by
nailed
the end
it.
of the show you could reprise Dan's role in Ballers.
Let's do that.
Oh, I totally could.
All right.
Okay,
I would
good.
be. What's the end game? You know, whatever your line
Spence.
was.
Nailed it.
Spence,
Spence,
We're
what's the
just-
end game? Spence with like a fake cigar in his hand.
it was a real cigar.
All right, that was hilarious.
How do you grade your performance in Ballers, Dan?
I was terrible.
Yeah, you were.
Letter grade A+ through F-.
1, 3, or 5?
D. I'd give myself a D.
3. I think it's solid 3.
So all Greg has to do is beat a D.
Right. I can do that.
Have I
Hell yeah.
have I told you guys the story of
Beat that D.
Jay
I can do that.
Jay Glazer ends up stealing Ballers from what could have been ours, because one of those seasons was supposed to open with Ndamukong Suh tackling me on a recreation of the Clevelander set. Like one of those. So perhaps I would have learned something that Jay Glazer learned about acting and become better at it. But I don't think so.
Nah, I think you.
No, I mean, Jake Glazer started as a stand-up. He has better performative aspects to his talent than you do.
Yeah, like just because you were on Ballers in Jay's role doesn't mean you'd then be like this MMA aficionado in the octagon. Like you guys wouldn't have swapped lives just because of that role.
Thank you, Billy. I don't know why your MMA aficionado moves with those shoulders walking that way.
Well, I'm not Jay.
No, he's
so I
just
don't
trying
know.
to set. You're not going to be able to take a knee from Mercedes
Agreed.
Lewis.
Yeah.
Agreed. I walk it back. I am making fun of him for thinking he's a better actor than he is. You guys are making me the butt of the joke as the actor from Ballers, but I was terrible, and I didn't think I'd be any good at it either. Right. I'm not afflicted with what Greg is. Greg thinks he'd be good at anything he tried. He's 0-3 in cooking competitions here.
It's called self-confidence. Try it sometime.
But it's not. How does your self-confidence not get derailed by the lack of success?
Well, because
Great
I
question.
haven't attempted to act. I've never given it a chance.
It's hard.
Okay, here's the thing. I need to say this because he's painting me as the guy he thinks he can win an Academy Award the first time he walks on a set. All I'm saying is that relative to other skills such as we see in sports, I don't think acting is that tough. It's not, playing tennis against Jacob Skinner or whatever his name is. It's not.
I love you trying to find stuff.
Well, I was going to say
Jacob Skinner?
McEnroe, but it would have been a dated reference
Sinner.
or whatever. Sinner.
Yannick.
Yannick, Jacob
Greg,
Skinner, whatever his name
He's
is.
not here to take a quiz, guys.
Greg, how did you have all of tennis at your disposal and you stumbled
Jacob
into that?
Skinner.
I don't follow men's tennis.
But why did you do that?
He's more of
then?
a WTA guy.
You could have named a women's player.
Could have said
then.
Venus Williams.
Anyone in the history
You
of
know
the
what?
sport.
Venus is 44. I think I could stay in a set
You
with her.
shut your
my
mouth.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That was a joke. That was a joke.
Wow,
All
that's
I'm-
good acting.
Wow.
You acted like a sexist.
Acting is
You had me
easy.
convinced you were a
Pass on.
sexist.
I'm just saying acting is easy relative to hitting a 105-mile-an-hour fastball. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Who can deny that?
No, I will grant you. Look, there are degrees, right? There are all sorts of actors who are doing song and dance or doing like things that show great range.
Right.
It's not a character actor in a role part. You said starring in a movie.
I would be a character actor.
You could not. You could. You were just.
wouldn't.
We've
Character
walked.
actors have range.
I'm not delusional. I don't think an inexperienced guy my age stars in a
You
movie.
are delusional here. You are delusional.
You've
here.
never tried it, so you don't know how difficult it is.
Okay, I have a
Thank you.
question.
You're
I have a
right.
question. Which Quaid brother would you be, Dennis or Randy?
You know either of those people.
Randy's the goofball, right?
Yeah, you're more of a Dennis.
I think I'd be a dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the great moments on this show's history is asking Dennis Quaid what's the strangest thing about his brother Randy Quaid and him saying he can eat an apple in one bite.
Apple a day.
Green or red?
I miss him. Rick Barnes.
Rick Barnes?
Yeah, I miss him. Hopefully he's back for Talladega so we can barn some rubber.
You were trying to make a podcast with him after the show yesterday, Rick Barnes, NASCAR aficionado. You wanted to turn a NASCAR product immediately around for Metal Art.
Barn and rubber with Rick Barnes. I found a soulmate. I had no idea. He was locked in. He watched that entire race 2 days ago. Man, that's what it took to get some NASCAR. It's weird because we don't really talk a lot of NASCAR, and we certainly don't talk a lot of college basketball. And in one beautiful segment, we were barn and rubber with Rick Barnes.
You don't hear many references to the Wood brothers anymore.
Let me hear from Dennis Quaid on that real quick, please. Give us a wacky fact about your brother Randy.
Oh, he can eat an apple in one bite.
That is insane. You do realize that.
I don't
right?
believe him.
Okay, that's fine, but I can imagine it.
I think I'd like to watch that.
I wanted to ask you guys a couple of local questions here about both the Panthers and the Heat. We have talked a lot more about the Heat, and this is as bad as it'll look in Miami, I think. we've gotten used to a certain relevance around here in basketball that when you lose that way to Atlanta, we've been spoiled over the last 15 years. You're watching something die. It could have been foretold. You were with Boston at that point, and then you see Jimmy Butler go to Golden State, and he's saying, while there, this is the best team I've ever played on, and they're blowing people out. And you're seeing Greg Cote called the Andrew Wiggins trade a home run. You're seeing a frustration around the Miami Heat that I don't believe I've seen in the last 15 years around here. Do I have this wrong, that this is about as bad as it gets? You lose to Atlanta. You're having all sorts of trouble scoring points, and Tyler Hero's your all-star, and he'll give you 40 every once in a while, but you know that if that's what's leading your team, this is its record. If Tyler Hero's going to be your all-star, this team's record is going to end up being 6 games under 500 fighting for the play-in game.
Yeah, you've lost 6 out of 7, and all the shows, if you're watching yesterday, are doing the look how good Jimmy is with Golden State. It feels like a low point for the Heat in like at least a decade.
Yeah, they're suddenly a team in a franchise that doesn't matter. I saw a list of the top 15 most watched NBA games this season. Heat not among them. Like there's no interest. Other than the Jimmy Butler trade drama, this has been a nondescript season that isn't even really worth talking about. I don't think that the Heat, for the first time in a long time, don't have what I would call a star player.
Okay, but hold on. When you say not worth talking about, because I want to get to Kachuck on Fallon and I want to get to the team that is worth talking about locally. But when you say not worth talking about, not quite, because the embers on this aren't going to die quietly when you're talking about 15 years of raging, burning Heat Twitter as a community.
Right.
So, no, it's not. Don't say it's not worth talking about, because I'll read you the tweets of all the people and where you get into when you say not worth talking about. All of these people writing things like, you can't continue to be pitiful in fourth quarter, struggle to break 100 points, and not even be questioned as a head coach. What are we doing? The talent isn't that bad. Spo's getting some of it now. And it's not a little bit. It's like, I don't like this thing. I'm spoiled for 15 years. This isn't what it's supposed to look like. I was promised that if Spo gets the players, they'll always be 500. Wait a minute. It's all broken down around Spo. Oh, it's Spo's fault, right? Every GM, every coach, you do the polling, Spo's the best coach in the league. There is no other best coach in the league. But now they'll come after Spo too, because it's not supposed to look like this. Where are the answers, Spo? Don't you always have answers? And there are no answers. They're bad.
I don't think it falls on Spo whatsoever. It's on the front office, 100%. I mean,
he's always bailed them out, though. Spo has always bailed out wherever the front office deficiencies have been.
Stan Van Gundy's really good on the topic. But sometimes even Greg Popovich, the franchise dips in such a way that it's impossible to dig out from immediately. I think, the peers respect Spo, the players respect Spo, now, especially now that Jimmy's gone. This is time to get Eric Spoelstra some players. He's a proven commodity. It's not like the game has passed Spo by. I mean,
but it's just so bad right now that everyone's getting it. Like, that's why, it's so bad right now. The Jimmy stuff hurts so much that it's like the writers, the fans, they're just, I'll give it to everybody right now. Who wants it? Spo, it's your fault. It's Riley's fault. It's our fault.
It's not just that they're losing. It's not just that they're uninteresting. It's that offensively they're bad. Like, there are only 4 or 5 teams worse than them. Throwing out an 8-point fourth quarter and a 9-point fourth quarter because you get strangled at the end of games because you don't have anything at the end of games. Like,
right.
To have their offense be bottom of the league bad when you're watching it is something else entirely.
Right, but you could maybe resent him for the lack of development of players on the roster. You can't actually do that. Tyler Hero has become an all-star despite things being bad over here. Bam Adebayo has met his ceiling, but he was developed into a player that potentially gets his jersey hung up in the rafters. You see so many great examples of player development with this limited roster that you can only help but turn your attention to the merely dozen over the last 4-year pursuits of talent that have failed miserably by this franchise, and that lands on the front office, not on Eric Spoelstra.
And Ware has had a good rookie season. Last time I looked, he was among the Rookie of the Year frontrunners, so they've developed him pretty quickly.
He was a favorite for Rookie of the Year a month ago, last I checked.
That's nice, and where's Jaquez? Where's he been? Like what happened there? Like somebody's going to get the numbers on a basketball team that's a professional basketball team that in the modern age is scoring 110, 120 points a game. What we're watching right now isn't something that we've seen in 15 years. I don't think. I can't remember it. Terry Rozier, the poison being thrown his way on how bad he's been.
Most right Mike's ever been.
What? Oh, my God. Yeah. You want to take a victory lap on that one, Mike? Do you want to?
I think I did already.
No, you already did the Terry Rozier victory lap?
I'm
okay.
pretty sure.
Okay, because we haven't had a win around here like that.
Do you really feel like you need to invite Mike Ryan to do a victory lap?
He'll
just do it.
It's a good point, Jessica. The fact that we're in reruns on this and it's already happened is an indictment of me.
You're isolating it to Terry Rozier, and you're not giving me enough credit. You're not. This whole thing was predicted 2 years ago. This is the end game, Spence, for what they have wrought. They decided to sit idly by while everyone else in their conference got better. I feel like I sound like a broken record. I'm incapable of new thoughts when it comes to this franchise because I've been saying this was coming for 2 years. It's a failure on the leadership when it comes to talent acquisition. Even when they actually acquire people, it's Kyle Lowry and Terry Rozier. And we were saying, no, don't do that.
Even when they were making the finals, I said...
Oh, here we go.
No. I said, if Jimmy Butler is your best player, you're going to be good, but you're not going to compete for a championship in this league. And Jimmy Butler is gone now, and their best player is, a guard who scores 40 points one night and then is 4 for 14 the next night. Bam Adebayo.
You said Wiggins was a home run. You don't get to take a victory lap. You said Wiggins was a home run on the Jimmy Butler trade.
Relative to what they could have gotten. If they didn't
relative home run.
If they didn't trade him, what would they have gotten for Jimmy Butler?
It's not a home run.
No, tell me. What
Take
would
it
they
back.
have gotten if
Just
they
say
didn't trade
double.
him?
Can it be a double?
Dodging the question, Greg.
Yeah. They did the best they could at the trade deadline.
When
to
Durant
get something.
when Durant was an option, they got the best they could.
Well, some are
Durant
saying
was never going to come here.
they should have realized that this was going to happen with Jimmy and made the move in the offseason. They could have gotten more.
I'm not denying that, but what I said 2 years ago is true, that if Jimmy Butler's your best player, you're not a championship contending team. I don't care if you just made the luck to make it into the final.
In fairness to the Heat front office, Steph Curry is a free agent in 2027, 2028. So we're just kind of waiting around whale hunting again.
And Ben Reiter is reporting for CBS Sports that Giannis is sniffing around.
Oh, great. Again.
This
will be the third time that they are going to get him, right?
So sick of this franchise.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like, okay, it's our birthright to get this whale. Please, how many times are we going to fail just on Kevin Durant alone?
Is whale hunting legal?
No, apparently it's banned, especially down in South Florida.
You know what? Do you know what I enjoyed most about what happened with the last Kevin Durant thing? Mike Ryan is over here with the brave face of how many times are we going to fail on Kevin Durant, and he's covered himself with the scar tissue. When your fandom got birthed by 2010 through 2014, not birthed, but just inflamed by everything that happened with LeBron. You come to expect mattering at the top of the sport, and they competed for 5 years very close to the top of the sport, and now he's insulated himself with this armor of don't hurt me anymore with Terry Rozier. I'm embarrassed by what represents our uniform now because Boston comes in here and drags them, and the franchise has fallen on its face. And so he's scarred and covered up, and he doesn't want anyone to see his pain. But he has been right about this team for 2 years.
Shouldn't they have gotten Kevin Durant? Take anyone on the roster for Kevin Durant? Because you're not winning anyways, so why not have one of the greatest basketball players ever associated with your franchise, your organization? You'll be more relevant. You'll sell out more games because you have a star on your team for the rest of his career in basketball history. Look, we had Kevin Durant on the team. Let's say he plays here a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years. You retire his jersey. You do the whole, he's part of Heat culture and all of this stuff. There is value in getting Kevin Durant, even if it wasn't going to win you the basketball games that you're not winning anyways. You're scoring 80 points a day.
So let me ask you this question, because Phoenix is burnt too. The place that I was headed with Mike Ryan's fandom is he can say how many times are we going to fail on Kevin Durant alone, but I saw him perk up when Kevin Durant reports came out. I saw him interested yet again. His hope piqued by, maybe Kevin Durant. And then I told you guys that was never close to happening because Ishbia, who's running the Suns poorly, wanted what the Heat were describing as our whole team for Kevin Durant.
So do it.
And your response is they should have just traded for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I like that plan.
Yeah. They've won 1 out of the last 9 games?
Yeah.
What are we hogging these players for? Who cares?
Who's on this roster that's going to help the Miami Heat win a championship?
Bam Adebayo would.
Has he though
He
so
got
far
close.
with
No.
Jimmy?
He got hurt one time.
Let's not be. He could be a piece on a team.
Please
A
stop
piece.
talking to me
Like
about
a-
Bam
like a
Adebayo.
piece. He could be a
Please
piece
stop
on
talking
a
to me
team.
about him. We
But
know
he's-
what he is.
He's not a centerpiece.
No, he's not. We
Like,
know what
he's
he
a
is.
piece.
This
Power
guy's been
forward.
around for a decade. We know what he is,
He's
guys.
a starter caliber player, though, and so
Starting
is Hero.
caliber player. He's
fair. I
on the
think that's
dream
fair.
team
An
and an
elite
all-star.
defensive player.
Come
I
on.
mean,
defensive
Come on.
player.
I will not.
Dream
come
Team's
on.
like the Pro Bowl
Right.
at this
He's
point.
a
Come on.
great
right.
defensive
All
player.
right.
If you could have one
That I will
for the
not-
rest of
I
their
won't-
career,
I won't
are you
abide
taking
this.
Ware or Bam?
This is disrespectful.
It's
a good question, though. That's an excellent sports radio question.
I think Bam, Hero, and Ware are keepers. I think you build around them. They need a star.
I don't have any more money. I got max contracts to Hero and Bam.
I wish we could.
That's
see,
not winning anything.
I wish we could just see Jeremy's face right now.
No, I don't want to do that.
He's so mad we're talking about this without him.
Yes, and you're so mad we're talking about it with you.
I'm honestly mad too.
No, I kind of enjoy when the sky is falling with the Miami Heat. It's better than when the Miami Heat are good and then everyone's pumping their chest about it. This is the kind of conversation I actually enjoy.
This was what I was ruining. This was what I was fearing. He was ruining this. I
Love a good Rue.
I don't like being totally insignificant.
Mike
in the
hates being
sport.
right about these things.
I do. I hate it. I hate being this right about this team. Now we are totally insignificant. And we're not tanking in the year that we should. There's a player coming down here that we'd like to watch at the Watsco that is a unicorn. Yeah. It'd be great to have one really bad year. Yeah. Get some assets. Realize that, hey, Bam, we got the most out of you. Thank you so much. Let's get some assets. Let's do that. But no, we're just going to keep.
They held on to Bam at all. Bam was not it was not a grabbable piece. Bam has not been available to anybody the last few years.
And neither was Jimmy for a long time. We even put out a press release saying that we're not going to trade him. This franchise, I understand, but it was in retrospect really such a bad thing that happened. Them being such a historical outlier and getting hot and making it to those 2 finals, because that wasn't a championship team. It may have been the best team in the Eastern Conference playoffs, but it wasn't close to what they needed to be.
I'm going to be down the middle, Chris, on this. We are being disrespectful to Bam, but they should also be listening to offers for him. He shouldn't be off the table. That's ridiculous.
Making the finals was arguably the worst thing that could have happened to the Heat.
You guys are doing something funny, right? Because
No, it's true, because now they're stuck in no man's land and a team that couldn't actually win.
We can have a long discussion about whether or not it would have been right at any point in the last 2.5 years to trade Bam. But it has not become obvious until the last 6 months. This team, it has not become obvious that Bam is somebody that you should put on the trade market, because if that was the case, we wouldn't have been talking about Lillard and Durant. They wanted to come and play with that piece. That's the piece. It wasn't Hero.
Well, they wanted to come and play with that piece because they could be the star with that piece.
Well,
Because
but
they know
no,
they could alpha him.
No, but and he does the specific things that now Steph Curry benefits from because Jimmy Butler's willing to do them. The idea that somebody
Bam? Bam's taking a step back this year.
No,
man.
it's not that Bam has taken a step back. It's they've had to give all the usage rate to Tyler Hero. And so when they do that, all of a sudden Bam becomes less than, because they're not playing the game through Butler and Bam.
As someone that was arguing to trade Bam Adebayo, even when it wasn't popular in this market, they failed so many times in talent acquisition. They failed in the mission that we all agreed. Jimmy Butler is not good enough to be your best player on a championship-winning team. We had an asset to trade for a player that was better than Jimmy Butler. It was Bam. We refused. We now suck.
This is crybaby stuff. I'm embarrassed by you.
welcome to 2022. Omicron is on the run, and away it went. But oops, there goes gravity, and here comes a new variant. Omaha, Corona, Hut 1, Hut 2, nothing infects the Super Bowl, and nothing stops football.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackball the blackballer. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's Urban and Snyder and Flores and Gruden, but Kyler, but Kelsey, but Cooper, but Canty. It's cheating and tanking and bounties and banking, but
all in. I'm a fan of the Jets. I'm a fan of the Jets. Oh, no. The Jets. The Jets. Why this team? The Jets! The Jets!
Stugotz, what's the matter, buddy?
I mean, just one time. 40 years I've been rooting for this team, and just one time I wanted my team to play in that big game in that beautiful dome in Los Angeles.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Billy, do you know anything about Operation Blooming Onion or Operation Boomerang or when Stugotz is going to be back? We were warned that he was going to be in Australia, right?
Well, that was nice of someone to tell you because I had no idea that this was happening. I was told that he was leaving after Monday's show, and then Monday comes, and I woke up to an email at 10:30 saying, never mind, he's not going to be in today. So I literally don't know where in the world he is at this moment. And we recorded Gallo's Football last Thursday, and I thought had planned out this week's episode, and at no point was it mentioned that Australia was in play. So
Down under.
Good use of all you know about Australia. Excellent
Shrimp
work.
on the barbie. I love Australia. Never been. I love a blooming onion
He's
as
a
well.
thespian, Dan.
Yeah. Why is he there?
That's how you'd star in a movie, right there. That with that kind of alertness, you would be Daniel Day-Lewis. You would be.
He's not actually there either.
He's a pretty good actor.
No, you know how Stugotz is. Like, I think I'm going to Australia. Okay, cool. You want to tell us when? I don't know. Probably going to Syracuse first.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you know your traditional Miami to Syracuse.
What's he going to?
You got to go north to go south.
What's
Lax.
he going to? Wait,
Lax. He's going up there for Lax.
So,
oh yeah,
he has a daughter that goes to Syracuse.
Yes, but that daughter's in Australia.
I know that. That's why I was wondering why he's going there. He's going to Syracuse to watch his other daughter that doesn't go to Syracuse.
For Lax.
I love this as Operation Lax because I imagine he's just going to be doing lacrosse championships for a
and
while
relaxing.
now. And, right.
Yeah.
Operation Lax.
So high.
Putting the lax in not working very hard. But we don't know where he is, and Greg Cody sits in the seat, but he's afflicted with some of the same poisons on thinking he can do everything.
What if Stugotz accidentally found himself in a Brittany Griner Russia situation in Australia? Where he didn't realize he couldn't just do whatever the hell he wanted in Australia, and then he gets arrested or detained.
Didn't that happen to Stallone and Johnny Depp? But didn't it happen to Stallone? Johnny Depp for bringing an animal into the country, and Stallone for throwing steroids off of a balcony in Australia while the authorities closed in on him.
Yeah, but Stallone, his plan was effective in that they could not catch him with the performance-enhancing drugs.
Because he was just throwing them off the balcony?
Yes, allegedly.
Australia, chill. Respectfully to the people of Australia and Morgan and all of those. It's a country of criminals. Okay?
What? No.
Whoa!
That's factually true.
What?
Whoa!
That's a fact.
Well, then,
was a
if every
prison
company,
colony.
then every country is.
This colony was created with. Didn't we just send a bunch of criminals to Australia? Oh, we don't know what to do with them over there.
The
You just
intention was a
found this
prison
giant
colony.
island over here, and you guys figure it out. Is that not what happened?
Yeah, but it also happened down here in Miami. Mariel boat lift.
What?
Sure.
There were people that
Those
were
weren't
already there.
criminals. The Mariel boat lift. Those are people.
There were many.
There were
many.
some,
There
but
were-
they
there were
weren't. They
many.
weren't.
There
They
were
weren't
many.
all criminals.
Okay.
There was.
Let's not paint with a broad brush, Billy.
There's people that came here in the
You
Mariel boat
swiped
lift.
out an entire continent.
Yeah, but they're not going to hear this until tomorrow or yesterday. I don't know how that works.
Billy, yes, Fidel Castro emptied his prisons.
He did, yes, but other people came along with it. It wasn't like
That's correct.
criminals
Well,
that
you,
were
you
sent.
see the issues with painting with a broad brush.
Yes.
I didn't.
You did. You very much did.
I did
You
not.
did,
You
yes.
did. Yeah,
And
you
the-
said
and
all
the
of
Australian-
Australia was criminals. That's the broadest brush.
I said respectfully.
You offended like a few million people. That's all.
But
They're
gonna,
not going to hear this.
They're going to hear this yesterday, and they're going to be pissed.
Yeah, it'll be
All right.
aggregated.
In the future.
All right.
No, they already heard it.
Oh.
Well, I haven't heard anything, so I'm fine. If they heard it and I haven't heard pushback, we're good.
You know, that's actually a good point.
Thank
It
you.
is not a good point. Before we go any further here, because there are a number of things I have to get to. I have to get to Boldest Take, and I'm really happy to see that this has finally happened. I know it didn't work at the All-Star game. Adam Silver's like, hey, can you guys try? Can you guys show some enthusiasm? And then LeBron's like, I don't even want to dress for the team picture. But he's finally reached a coach when he's trying to sell, hey, guys, we need to tell everybody our league, it's got a lot of pizzazz. Everything's very important. We got to sell. The regular season really matters. And finally, he reached the champion coach of the Celtics who sells Adam Silver's sport the way that Adam Silver, with the enthusiasm that you want to sell your sport in these troubled times.
3-0 against the Knicks this season, all by double digits. Does that tell you anything, especially when you look at the standings?
It means absolutely nothing.
All right. Thank you, Joe Mazzulla. Just absolutely nothing. This guy's becoming one of my favorite coaches. Yeah. He was like annoying at the beginning, but I like what he does with the media. Just means nothing.
He doesn't have any patience for us. And can you imagine that amount of
What?
That amount of success in your early 30s?
I can't imagine all of that.
Turns out more than just criminals lived in Australia, so I'm sorry to
Okay, now we're
Australia.
going to, you know what? Go back.
I'm going to be the brave, strong
no,
person
wait
here
a minute.
and apologize
No, wait
to
a minute.
Australia.
I hope they aggregate it first. and you get in trouble.
162,000 convicts were sent there, but it was more than just that in the population.
No.
Yeah, there were already people there.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Like a lot.
Nowadays, they send all their convicts to New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah. on a
Kiwis.
boat.
Also not true.
I hope you both get in trouble now.
2 minutes right here in the shipping container for trying to leave.
So I stayed.
I didn't understand what that penalty was. I pressed the wrong button. I didn't like my choices. You go.
I'll just stay here.
No, I want you to go to the penalty box, and I want you to apologize to Australia. I want you to
did.
No, more formally. I want you to go
I'm
and
actually sorry.
I know, but I want you to be actually sorry while doing a public apology in the other room, surrounded by Australian things. I also want to go into the other room because Matt Kugler, the unassuming Matt Kugler, producer of South Beach Sessions, I'm going to say he bounded into work today. Bounded in. Seemed happy. Giant smile on his face. And you know, it was at the end of the last segment. And he's like, now that's the heat talk I like. You guys finally showing everybody where it hurts that it's all over. Mike, you underestimate how you've shielded these tears from the audience that desperately wants. If you guys are going to be that annoying for 5 years getting near the finals, you're going to eat it now as you long for other players. And Jessica's going to sit in the middle of it and enjoy heat talk for the first time in a couple of years.
I may be the only person that was enjoying it other than Kugler because Jeremy Taché texted me. I'm genuinely embarrassed by them when I think of that analysis being the perspective from Miami that reaches a national audience. You can tell them this on air or off. LMAO.
Okay, I'd like to hear from Jeremy. I rarely say that.
Why would you like to hear from someone that has been wrong for 2.5 years? Every single thing he has said in rebuttal to things that have been said on this show have been wrong. Why would you platform him? Moreover, why are we now talking about the Heat for going on 40 minutes when they are as culturally
Can we bring it back to
insignificant
movies? Let's bring it back to movies.
as they have ever been?
It's not 40 minutes, and it's been 20 minutes. And
20 minutes too many. They don't deserve it.
I wanted to talk about the Panthers, and I wanted to talk about Kachuck being on Jimmy Fallon. But before I do that, near Kugler, I just saw Taylor. And Taylor, I don't know what you guys' experience of Taylor, but I'm telling you that my experience of Taylor is he feels like, because so many people around here who work around here listen to our show for a long time, that he's walking in the middle of the Disney characters, that his daily life is living inside of this thing that's strange to him. And so he's walking around yesterday, and all he's doing is giggling to himself, listening to Stugotz talk about Al Trawick. Al Trawick passed away. He's a legend in New York. Al Trawick, many sports broadcasters will tell you that this is a loss that hurts because we remember how great Al Trawick was. But out of nowhere, Stugotz had opinions on Al Trawick, and this is what Taylor was listening to, walking around the office out there after Al Trawick died. I see Stugotz this morning.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. These are his first words to me. This is good morning to me. Before he says good morning to me, this is what he says. This bleeping guy. Because he's talking about Phil Jackson.
It's so annoying, man.
This bleeping guy.
Yeah. I mean, Dan, he's just an embarrassment. Like, he really is. It's just, like, if you watch the interview last night that he did with Al Trawick, I believe. It was a fossil, by the way. Anyway, if you...
Why did you take out Al Trawick?
Trawick, please. Oh, seriously. Well polished Al Trawick. I got issues with Al Trawick that go way, way back. Way back. Way back.
Go on.
I just don't like the guy, man. I like him. Never been a fan of his. Growing up in New York,
you have issues. You said you had issues.
Not personal issues. I've never been a fan of Al Trawick. For some reason, like growing up, New York media, I had a list of like the guys that I least liked in the New York media, and he was always at the top of the list. Al Trawick. Put that on for next year's lie detector question. But Phil Jackson's a complete embarrassment.
Hold on a second. What's the rest of that list look like? Like who the list that you have of media members? No, now you're in.
No. Give him 10 seconds to make up names on this fake list.
But now you're in. What do you mean? Well, you're the one who decided to just sideswipe for no reason. Al Trawick.
Yeah.
Al Trawick. What a great name.
It is. It's a funny name. I mean, just polished, pukey broadcaster, and just a guy whose work I don't know why. I just don't enjoy it that much.
Guillermo, put this on the poll. When I say the name Al Trawick, do you imagine him wearing a wig made out of trout?
R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
That's not.
What a joke by Dan.
Seriously.
Isn't that what you
trout
picture,
wig.
though?
No,
like a wig made of trout?
No, it's a fish wearing a wig.
Yeah.
Right, the trout has the wig on.
Yeah, it's not a wig made of trout. It's a trout wearing a wig.
I thought it was a wig made out of trout.
No one's hair is made out of trout. It wouldn't look like a real wig.
But that's what's funny
stealing.
about it. A broadcaster with a wig that doesn't look like it's a real wig because it's made out of trout.
But my dad always wins. The trout wearing a wig is great.
Yeah, because now I got the
gotta go
trout
there.
holding a microphone, too.
Yeah.
Right.
Your dad always wins. I want you guys, because Greg Cody was talking for some reason, I don't know why, earlier. Billy, why did you come back here? Weren't you going to give us an apology, a public apology surrounded by Australia?
Yeah, there was a kangaroo. I pet the kangaroo. I said sorry to the kangaroo.
Okay, so I thought we were going to get like a press conference.
Oh,
type
there's
of,
no
I'm sorry
microphone over there. I'll go over there again.
Yeah, well, I just think you have to. I think you have to apologize to Australia because
Again.
you called the company, or you called the country a bunch of criminals.
Yeah, and then he
There it
clarified.
is.
He gave stats.
There we
It's a
go.
very old-timey insult.
We got a trout wig up on the screen right now.
I apologize to New Zealand as well.
Again, that doesn't seem like it's sincere.
It is.
You were very eager to take out New Zealand. But before the show, Greg Cody was talking about the SAG Awards and something else that he did, and he's not the only one who does this, but he was yelling about Jane Fonda and how he didn't understand how Jane Fonda, who's 20 years older than him, looks 10 years younger than him.
At least.
And so you were confounded by how healthy she is. Is she 90 yet? She's not.
She's
87. She looks great. She acts great. She dresses
But you'd
great.
be better as an actor. You'd be just as good, right? Because it takes no talent.
It's hard to compare a male actor with a female actor to a certain degree.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm not saying I would
Well,
be
men
an
are
all-time-
allowed to age and women aren't.
Yeah,
So yes.
that's exactly right. I'm not saying I would be a great actor. I would be, a journeyman. I would be a working.
Again, we were
character
talking about
actor.
Jane Fonda. You've
Oh,
already.
she's great. Very political. Her speech was what you expected it to be, but I thought she looked fantastic. And Jess was telling me that she's had work done. Okay, but I didn't think it was obvious.
That is a mischaracterization of the conversation that we
What do
had.
you mean?
I
Look
mean, I'm
at how
sure
great
she
she
has
looks.
had work done, but I wasn't like, yeah, Greg, she's had work done.
Well, you reported it to
Talking
me.
about Hanoi Jane.
I think she looks great for 87. I'm not afraid to say it.
Hanoi is a funny word.
No one is afraid to say she looks great. She does look great.
She looks great.
You're not afraid to say it. What I was afraid of, and it was unpleasant, was it felt like you were ogling her. The whole thing felt uncomfortable to me.
Yeah. Isn't it ogle with a hard O?
Well, you seemed like you had a hard O. Can we see if Billy is ready to do his?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Is Billy ready to do his apology here?
Yes.
Okay, Billy, thank you. We are not exactly having you surrounded by all things Australia, but can you apologize? Would you do me the favor of apologizing, please?
To the kangaroo?
That kangaroo's happy to see you.
Just to all of Australia for just being reckless.
Hello, Australia. It's me, Billy. Yesterday or tomorrow, I said something on the show where I insinuated that Australia was founded by criminals, and I, for that, apologize. Only 164,000 of your residents were criminals that were sent there from Ireland and England, and while that number seems immense, I've learned that there are more than 164,000 people that are in Australia. So, also a lot of scary creatures and animals and insects and things that generally you want to avoid. But I'm sure Australia is very pleasant, and hopefully one day I'll be able to visit your great continent, even though it's unlikely because it's like a very long plane ride. And what am I going there to do? See spiders? I doubt it. So anyways, again, yes, and I'm sorry, Australia, for saying that there's a lot of criminals there, even though, them's the facts.
All right, good apology. Well, a good apology until the very end.
Well,
when
we're not going to just pretend that it's not a thing. It's a thing. What are we? Like, I'll apologize. I'm sorry that me stating facts hurt your feelings, Australia.
Okay, this is.
I'm sorry
right, this
that
is
you
go-
are in denial about your history.
not
I
the way this-
apologize
no.
to you, Australia,
No.
for stating the fact
No.
that criminals were sent there by the hundreds of thousands. Well,
Okay.
not hundreds, like 164s of the thousands.
All right, thank you,
over
Billy.
a period of 15 years or whatever in the 1700s. I'm sorry, Australia.
All right,
You've made a great opera house, and
Yes.
Finding Nemo was cool.
And Morgan.
She's fine. I'm sorry, Australia.
Thank you, Billy. I appreciate you.
Shout out to Jimmy.
Doing yes and. I appreciate it. Can you get for me, please? I don't know if we have the sound of this, but I heard Chris Cody talking about something that is happening right now in both hockey and America that allows the Panthers star, Matthew Kachuck, who's been a star down here for a long time, has been a star in the sport for a long time, but is now also a champion, an American champion, and a personality. Hockey doesn't do this great in crossing over the language barriers. So many guys fighting through their second language on stardom. When someone's telegenic, when someone can sell the sport, the spirit of the sport, and be a champion, and descends from hockey royalty lineage, so he has the respect of Canada and America, we are seeing something with Kachuck that is a pretty rare hockey stardom. He was plenty good at hockey before they traded for him. He is now at the center of what represents one of the greatest trades in sports history, and he's on the ascent. So Jimmy Fallon reaches out and is like, explain to me this whole Canada and the United States thing, and now you're crossing over and you're doing the things locally that become national, that become international, so you can be more famous than your family's ever been at this sport because you're now winning in real time. We see how hard it is, and you're at the center of everything. But they told me that Kachuck was great and Fallon was not. that the questions were very basic. It's sort of like, hey, famous hockey guy, here's America. Want to talk to him? And that Fallon didn't bring out Kachuck at all.
It was just like, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I expect there because I think he is doing it to a more broad audience. But if you're a Panthers fan tuning into that interview, it was just, hey, Kachuck, say the 5 things you're most known for. Hey, you did it. Thanks for joining us. That was great. Kachuck was fine there. He had good energy. He wasn't nervous, but it was just, I almost felt bad for Jimmy Fallon because it was just like, oh, your dad played hockey. Oh, America, you guys fought. Oh, man, that is so hilarious. Oh, and you scored a goal. Sick, man. Thanks for joining us.
That's pretty much the show.
Yeah, but it's just kind of awkward. If you're a diehard Panthers fan and you were looking for anything there, obviously.
Did he ask about his groin?
Did they sing?
He said, you're currently injured, but you'll be back soon. He's like, yeah, I'll be back soon, I think.
He said soon? I
It's
think.
not soon.
Oh.
It's not soon.
He's like, I'm working to get back, but I love playing for my country. He turned it to America really quick.
He's going to be out for a while, is he not?
Yeah, he's going to be out for a while.
He'll be back for the playoffs.
And he mentioned multiple times about just the honor it was to wear the USA on his chest. So there were opportunities there for like the serious follow-up, but that's not really Fallon's thing.
There's a lot of casual hockey fans, people that are just hockey fans of the Florida Panthers, and they're, I guess, rightfully upset that their star player is now hurt for what was an exhibition tournament. Turned out to be a lot more than an exhibition tournament. It was the first opportunity to play best on best internationally for these players in 11 years. In soccer, country before club. It's always such an honor to represent your country, and it's cool to see that after 11 years that the lure of the crest is not lost, that playing for his country was a huge honor for him. And as a Panther fan, you have to kind of accept that they're going to be playing with high-level intensity and some players can get hurt. Not the only American that got hurt.
Do I have to accept that, though? Because I can espouse that sentiment.
No, you have to accept it. Yeah.
I do?
I don't know if it's because we were there. I'm good with it. Obviously, if he was out for the year, I'd probably think differently. But being there, seeing the emotion of it, you tell me he's out for a couple weeks, like, worth it. This was that important.
You also come off winning the Stanley Cup, so it's house money, right? Like, if you fell short in the Stanley Cup, you blow a 3-0 series lead, and now one of your stars is out because of an exhibition game, you're like, what are we doing here?
Perhaps that frames it, although Florida is still very much a franchise that is competing for another Stanley Cup to go to their 3rd straight Stanley Cup final. But I understand why people are upset about it. I think my perspective on it, because I follow soccer so much and understanding international breaks happen in the middle of the season and often top-tier players pull muscle and aren't available on the club side, that it's just kind of next man up, country before club.
You have said that a couple of times, and I have seen Kevin Durant weep recently when talking about how basketball moved him playing for the United States overseas. And I think that sentiment is anything that can be understood by our audience. However, I thought that the selfishness of the local regional sports fan was such that if my player is injured, and that's a random thing you're doing, half a year, I'm okay. A full year, now I'd have a problem. That's where my patriotism stops. It's if you're going to go all out in hockey and play that intense a game and get all of our attention because you're playing that intensely, you're risking the regular season, the postseason. You're risking the thing that I thought was supposed to be the most important to your team.
Here's where I think there's an understandable frustration. The Boston Bruins came out with a team statement really chastising the training staff. I believe it's a Minnesota Wild training staff that was assigned to take care of Team USA. Chucky was injured. He missed the game against Sweden. And the staff and Chucky all came to an agreement. I am sure there was communication back to the Florida Panthers. He's going to give it a go. And you could seize on that decision. He was hurt enough to miss a game. We rushed him back. Other players were held out of the tournament. Quinn Hughes wasn't deemed healthy enough by the Vancouver Canucks to go play in this Four Nations competition.
The Sweden game was not important, though. That is a factor.
What happened to Charlie McAvoy is interesting. Charlie McAvoy suffers a hit, then gets some sort of complication that sees him going to Mass General when he was supposed to be in the care of this training staff. They botch it to the point that he has to get admitted to the hospital. So you can have your questions about Team USA's training staff, I guess.
Well, but I'd like to broaden this out for a second without getting too stuck in the mud on this. I understand that you and Chris are giant hockey fans. I understand the moment that I just witnessed where hockey made friendly exhibitions matter in a way that now you guys come home and are like, good, yeah, I'm good with my star missing the next half of the season when there are 10 good teams in hockey and it's going to matter a little bit and it's hard to remain champions. And these guys come back from an event that was all exhibition. I understand the patriotism and the move, but as practicality, holy shit, if I'm running the Panthers, I don't love this. Kachuck's always playing hurt. Kachuck, I need that torso in the playoffs. That torso was not as good in the playoffs when it was hurt, but he plays through everything. For that guy to care that much about exhibition games, I get it. We just witnessed it. It was nice, but my God, is it prisoner of the moment? It's a contrivance. Like they made that whole thing up for our entertainment.
Yes, but it meant something.
It was a big tournament.
Yeah,
I don't care if it's the first one ever.
All
it was
of
a
it's
big
technically
tournament.
How would we have felt? How would we have felt if before the tournament, Kachuck's like, I'm sitting out 4 Nations. Don't want to get hurt. I would have been like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that would have been terrible.
No, you guys would have pretended it was less cool.
Yeah. I don't.
No,
Chucky
because they had the
wasn't in
tickets
it.
already.
If Kachuk wasn't playing in the championship game against Canada, I would have been disappointed. Like, tough it out. This is a really huge game for hockey in this country. It would be a huge honor to beat Canada in that sport and secure a championship against them on the international level, best on best. So I'm glad he gave it a go. Unfortunate that he's going to be out a couple of weeks. Thankfully, the Florida Panthers are good enough to withstand this absence. Maybe they make a move before the deadline, but it comes with the territory.
It was a great moment for hockey the past couple of weekends. It was a great tournament. It was made up, but, like, honestly, what isn't made up? There's a time Australia was just a landmass, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Look, he just did the Tonight Show.
Killers.
A Florida Panther went on,
Or a USA hockey player.
Yeah,
right. That's kind of where he went.
He went on the Cadillac of late night talk show properties in the Tonight Show.
Is it still?
In terms of fame, the Tonight Show means something. And
Do we still make Cadillacs?
I think we did this on my dad's podcast.
Really?
Are Cadillacs still the Cadillac?
Like beyond
of
just an
cars?
Escalade? What car
always
is a
will
Cadillac?
be.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
What's the Cadillac of cars these days?
The
It's
most
the Cadillac.
common reason for transportation was theft. This included pickpocketing, shoplifting, stealing horses and sheep, highway robbery, housebreaking, and receiving stolen goods, Billy.
What are we talking about? That's Australia?
What do you mean? What are we talking about? That's your wheelhouse. She was supporting your.
I was saying that like these are very pickpocketing. You get sent to Australia, and then like 300 years later, Billy calls you a criminal.
Yeah.
Oh,
come on.
Well, they don't hear me.
He apologized.
I think twice. I apologized twice. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Go there in person to apologize? Like,
Yes,
enough's
you
enough
should do
already.
God Bless Football from Australia
That
with
would be
Stugotz.
Well, from what I hear, I might be
You might
doing
have
that.
to,
Yeah.
yeah.
God bless Australian
Super
rules
sincere
football is
apology.
more like it.
Ass on.
Operation Boomerang or Operation Bloomin' Onion. He is in Australia or on his way to Australia.
You know a crazy thing? I went to Highlight last Friday. An Outback Steakhouse was constructed in 2 weeks.
Really?
In 2 weeks.
Prefab must
because
have been.
I guess because I was there 2 weeks ago, there was no Outback Steakhouse. I pull in, there's an Outback Steakhouse now. 2 weeks.
Where?
Right in front of the Magic City Fronton. It's incredible. 2 weeks it took for an Outback Steakhouse.
That's crazy.
Why are you so surprised by this? Are you
Because it's taken me a decade to build Freedom Park.
well, but you knew.
We're starting to see bones finally.
You personally.
We've gotten to the bones.
Yeah.
We all knew this was a bad idea, right? Messi coming down here and us promising him, hey, we'll develop that land for you in a year or two. Like, we all knew what that was,
Why is that
right?
a bad idea? It worked. He fell for the trick.
I know, but Messi knows that he's never going to play in a stadium by a highway near the airport.
How do you
right?
know?
No, if he's here next year, he'll play.
Yeah.
He could be.
Hey,
he could
have you
play
driven
next
past
season.
it?
We didn't say which Messi also. I mean, his son.
His son's a badass.
He's saving soccer. I may watch soccer.
There you go.
If Messi and all the kids that Messi's playing against all rise to the level of MLS, and that's the competition we're seeing, I may watch. Kid scored 11 goals the other day in a 12-0 blowout. I will watch soccer if one person is scoring 11 goals against the other team. Now, we have to elevate all of the Inter Miami children's and all of the Atlanta FC children's.
Yep, they work hard.
To make sure that these games continue this way. But 11 goals? Come on.
When you see that at the youth level, like 9 times out of 10, that person is a bona fide superstar.
Mm-hmm.
That is just not something that you can fake.
Every time
Scoring
I've
11
seen it.
goals, he's not nepoing his way to 11 goals in a game.
I mean, soccer, you know.
You've asked me if I drove past that. When is that going to be built? When did they promise him that
In like
was going
2
to be
weeks.
built?
That thing's going up quick.
It's starting to go up fast. It'll be ready by next season.
Yeah.
Like an Outback Steakhouse.
I would
yeah.
give it a year or two before I actually stepped foot in that thing. Just make sure everything's on the up and up. But
It's supposed
going
to be
up
ready
quickly
next year.
It's in Miami. You know it's not going to be on the up and up. But you know it's going to be sinking into land. You know that there are going to be airport problems, that there are going to be traffic problems.
The airport thing is so overstated. There's a lot of stadiums near airports. I've been at SoFi Stadium. Like, whoa, it's that close? That's crazy.
We got an alert last week that just like one of our expressways was shut down for an emergency check of an overpass. And then
The expressway right next to the studio.
Yeah, the one that we take to get here. And then it's just open again, and there was no update on what they were checking for, what the results of said emergency
and traffic
check
was shut
are.
down for like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's just like, you know what? We're good. We're going to open this thing up again. I have no idea what they were checking, what bridge they were checking. I don't know how to avoid these bridges moving forward because they didn't give me all of the information I wanted on a quote-unquote emergency check in which they shut down an expressway because they're not sure if the overpass that they're building is structurally sound.
Look, I know that we've lived in Miami for a long time, and I know that you guys are used to all of the ways and things that we are a banana republic about. But if you think we have a committee somewhere that is competently planning to have Lionel Messi play giant games near the airport in a new stadium without it being a massive clusterfuck that swallows all of South Florida with people trying to get in there, you are out of your mind if you think that's going to be a thing that's well orchestrated so that it's not. It's going to be the Super Bowl the moment he plays in a new stadium down here. You can't put that near the airport in a building you've just built that's surrounded by construction.
Put him 10 minutes away from Boca.
It's
way more offensive.
They're hiding him in Boca where you can there's giant parcels of land over there near the airport. Have you guys seen how hard it is?
You're listening to Billy Corbin.
Yeah, this is 5 seconds away from Doral. Like, this is home.
There was reporting in the Rolling Stone last week that some of the cut positions in the FAA were, quote, lawyers who help keep drunk or reckless pilots out of the skies, employees who track potential new flying hazards like cranes, and staffers in charge of medically clearing pilots. And the flying hazards like cranes did sort of, my ears perked up because this is right next to the airport, and that was one of the reasons that people at the airport and officials were concerned about the location because there's going to be all this tall construction material right next to the runway. But, luckily all of those people may have been laid off now, so they can continue construction.
You guys don't trust our infrastructure in South Florida, do you?
No, less now.
I mean, they've
of
been
course not.
They've been working on the highways my entire life.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
My entire life.
Government
The
contract.
836 and the 826 have been under construction. So I gotta think they're working on it. They work on it so long that by the time they complete something,
They need to work
they
on
have to
it
work
again.
on a new thing again.
Mike, there's reports like every month that's like a new building has sunk in 4 inches into the ground on Miami Beach.
I'm more worried about
every
that.
month there's a new this building has sunk in so far into the earth. Engineers are shocked, and then there's just never a follow-up.
We have talked about this before. Contractually, it was understood when the Panthers, the champion Florida Panthers, moved into where it is they play in the Everglades, that there would be a sinking into the earth because it's on swampland.
They accounted for it.
Yeah. They accounted for the sinking into the earth. You guys realize what we have in this town with Messi and the Panthers sinking into the earth? Because Messi plays a game the other day in -7 degrees. Greg Cody has been telling you here, and we haven't talked with our soccer expert. Greg Cody has been covering soccer in this market since Fort Lauderdale Strikers, since before Pele was playing for the Cosmos.
Correct.
Greg Cody has been covering soccer in this market. The biggest thing in soccer is in this market. And you and Mike Ryan have placed pressure on Messi to win this season as if it means something, as if the business of Messi isn't just being the business of Messi and cashing in on whatever the end of this is. It doesn't matter whether he wins a championship or not.
Oh, well, it does.
You have to win.
Financially, it doesn't. Have you seen the tweets are already out there of the difference he's made?
Look, not just for Inter Miami, but for the league and for American soccer in general, his signing with Inter Miami is still flabbergasting to me that they got him. And it's a monumental success just from a financial standpoint, unequivocally. What I'm saying is, if you came here to play for an MLS club, be sort of nice to win an MLS championship. Last year, they had the best regular season in history, and they took a big dump in the first
That's
round.
that's
of
not
the
much.
playoffs.
That's not much
That
of.
is true.
It's not much of a take though to say it'd be sort of nice. You said that there's enormous pressure on Messi. I'm like, no, there's not.
Well, there should be. If Ronaldo came here, he'd win a cup. That's for sure.
I don't. It took a while for Beckham to win the MLS.
He's no Messi.
We all
Respectfully.
agree. We all agree that the MLS playoffs, winning that championship, is the one that he's going to be judged against because that's the one that most casual fans understand.
Correct.
But he's been here for a season and a half, and he's won 2 major trophies.
Yeah.
As a member. Yes.
Leagues Cup major trophy.
I mean, it was the first year, but yes, it was against Liga MX, and they won that knockout tournament.
Debatable. But
well, it's not debatable that they won.
What's debatable? What's debatable?
It's a made-up tournament.
It is.
Between
Like
the
all
US
again.
and Mexico.
It's like the Four Nations.
All the
Like,
tournaments are made up.
It's a similar tournament, right?
All the tournaments are made up. They were wire to wire, the best regular season team, which in soccer, that's how you judge who wins a league.
Right.
Historically, then here in the United States and in Canada, we need to have playoffs because that's how North America gets down.
Cristiano Ronaldo is actually what Chris Cody thought his name was.
Christian overrated.
Can you guys explain to me when I ask you the questions of does it matter whether or not there are fans in the building in some future replica of sports that is just all about the streaming? Does it matter if Messi wins anything if they've won the game of getting the stadium built? Like that, Messi's legacy is secure even if he finishes in last place.
They've won 2 trophies. This is a disconnect that I kind of understand because he needs to win the league, and I try to argue that he has won the league, but no, he needs to win the playoffs. Okay, so like he'll win that too. He'll get to that. He's won 2 other trophies. They're in the Club World Cup. They're in the kickoff game against that where they test their mettle against top clubs from all over the world. And that's something that they earn their way in because they won things to get in there. So they've won things of significance here. And if you think he needs to win the MLS Cup, he probably feels the exact same way, and he'll try to win that damn thing.
Right. Well, the Club World Cup, their first match is designed that they're going to win easily. I mean, they play a club from Egypt, which is not a renowned soccer nation.
Do not sleep on those cups.
Weren't they essentially put in that World Cup because they have Messi?
Yes.
You could argue that. You had Infantino at a game and said, because they've won this and because they have Messi, they're in.
Right.
That's not a direct quote, but it was pretty much.
But don't you guys enjoy the idea if it's all made up? If it's all made up for our televised entertainment spectacle, don't you enjoy the idea that Messi doesn't have to win anything to have already won?
He doesn't have to,
he
but he
does.
has.
That's what you guys are missing.
He has.
He does have to win.
What everybody is missing is that he has.
No, what
He
you guys are
has.
missing is he hasn't actually won.
There have been 2 times where at the end of something, there's a huge ceremony.
No, in the
and
middle
he
of
goes
something.
out there,
but it's in the
and
middle
he
of
lifts
a
up
it's
a
in the middle of a
trophy.
season.
He lifts up a trophy.
Yeah.
He did do one at the end of the regular
okay.
season.
And
he did
LeBron
one-
won the in-season tournament, so he's one closer to
No.
Michael Jordan. No one thinks that.
Nobody thinks Inter Miami won MLS last season. They didn't. They had a great regular season. Then they went.
Brr.
Rapper will solicit the most yearning nostalgia. There's oh so much to decide.
A game so big, one can only dream of the brightest light shining on your team. But if my team's not there, why even go? With no one to cheer on, I don't get the show. Oh, tell me, you got the reasons. You got the reasons. Take me there. Take me there. Just take me there. The Super Bowl, 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 the Super Bowl.
I hope you're starting to see the light. Regardless of who's in it, it's a spectacle.
I think I'm starting to come around. Like, for instance, everybody wagering on a team. Chris Collinsworth sliding into your screen.
Anything you want, everything you need, you can get it all. Pat McAfee, writings on the wall. What's it gonna be? You'll see Marshall Falk and Mariucci. Anything you want, everything you need, you can get it all from Dominique. Writings on the wall. What's it gonna be? You can get it all. Kyle Brands, Hemmings.
Going out west for the Super Bowl.
Going out west for the Super Bowl.
My team's not there, but I'm gonna show.
My team's also not there, but I'm gonna show.
Everybody knows it's bound to be.
Everybody knows it's bound to be
The greatest night for you and me. Come on now.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney?
Con cual papi, con cual voy, con cual donde sea papi.
All right, coming in to meet the legendary Tony here at the legendary Arbetters, baby. Tony, 3-point Tony, man, how you doing?
Good to see you, Ron. This is hollow ground.
It is hollow ground.
Your name is on the wall.
Well, you know what?
Did you pay for it?
I spent a lot of time here, man. High school days, this was the stomping ground. We come in here, we rag on the Columbus guys.
Where'd you go to high school?
Miami Palmetto.
Palmetto, okay. So we're already bitter rivals from the beginning because I'm a killing guy.
Oh, the Big Cat Trophy. I'll have you say that I won it every year that I went to school.
Really? Yeah. I didn't win it once. The reason why, Tim Hardaway Jr. stopped me every single time.
That's right. There you go.
Can you take us back to the beginning?
Yeah, I was born and raised in New York City. My father was Cuban, my mother from Colombian descent. My first language was Spanish, and I purposely forgot Spanish. I was
really?
Yeah, I purposely forgot it because I just thought that was like a bad label for me because it gave people a reason to make fun of me.
Right.
I never played a sport in my life. Okay, it wasn't until in high school that the coach pulled me out of the hallway and said, "Hey, Ron, you're going to play basketball." I laughed at him. I said, "Have you seen me walk? I mean, come on, it's ridiculous." And we went to the tryouts. You look at the tryouts, and then they'll pin up the people who make the team on the list.
Right.
And I go up there, and then I see my name on the list. I see these guys who didn't make it, and then I'm ridiculed even more.
Right. You got there because you're tall.
I got there because I was tall, And I went into the coach and said, "Coach, you're killing me. I don't even want to be on this team. It's just making things worse for me." I don't forget what he told me. He said, at the time, because I was so tall, he said, "Ron, you can't coach height."
It's true.
So I'm
still can't, by the way.
I'm going to take the time and invest in you. And that coach, he's probably the single most important person in my life outside of my immediate family.
How did you get from the trajectory of good at school, playing sports, giving you the confidence in sports, left turn animals. Like, where did that come from?
Animals were the focus from the very beginning. The left turn was sports, was getting to be accepted into society. When I was a kid, there was one show, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. And there were two co-hosts in that show. There was a guy named Marlon Perkins and another guy named Jim Fowler. Jim was the guy who did the crazy stuff. I mean, Jim was jumping out of helicopters on top of caribou. He was, rappelling down mountains, grabbing condors with one hand. I saw the guy catch a jaguar in the Amazon with a throw net. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to be that guy. And when you have a job, if you love doing what you do, you're really not going to work.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the reason why I've been at the zoo for over 44 years. It's because, dude, when you get paid to do things that people pay to do, I just got back from 2 weeks in Africa.
Yeah, an incredible trip.
I mean, I've traveled around the world.
So we go from working with other animals in a capacity that lands you on Salto Gigante with Don Francisco.
It's true. I was literally at the zoo as a zookeeper, walking in the normal day, and I was doing, I think, a presentation about an animal. And this guy, Don Francisco, who I have no clue who he is.
Right.
He comes up to me in this kind of a heavy accent. He goes, "I would like you to be on my show." I said,
"Okay,
well, what's your show?" He goes, "I have a show called Salto Gigante out of Chile, and I'd like you to be on my show." I go, "Okay, it's in English, right?" He goes, No, in Spanish." I go, "Well, I don't really speak a lot of Spanish." He goes, No, I teach you.
And nobody in your family spoke Spanish?
Oh, my father and my mother always spoke Spanish. So I heard it, but I didn't speak it. I literally put it in the back burner. And he goes, "I'll teach you." I had no idea what this show was. I got home. I told my parents, I said, "Listen, this guy, Don Francisco." Don Francisco?
It's like the biggest thing on the planet.
This guy is like the #1 Hispanic television star in the world. And I'm like, what? So he invites me on the show. I tried to do some research on the show. There wasn't a whole lot of internet and stuff back then. And the thing comes across to me like a combination of Let's Make a Deal, The Gong Show, Oprah, Phil Donahue, and some other crap all put together in 3 hours of insanity.
Yes.
Insanity, okay? There's a bunch of girls out there that are doing the coochie coochie dance, and there's stuff going on in the show that would never pass on American television. You've got women that are really very
scantily clad.
So it was just one of those things where I'm like, oh my gosh. But that guy became the greatest mentor I've ever had when it comes to television, when it comes to the public. And he taught me something that's so very important, and that is never take yourself too seriously. And there's so many of us, even in especially in my profession, where they get all hung up on things. One of the things I've learned on Dan's show is that, man, you got to learn to laugh at yourself, man. Because if you don't laugh at yourself, you're not enjoying life.
Right.
And Don Francisco told me that. He goes, "Look at me, Ron. Every Saturday I go out there and I make a total jackass out of myself." And it's true. He put on these goofy hats. He'd do these stupid dances. He looked like an idiot, but he was making people happy. He always wanted me to kiss the models. He had the models come over and go, "Dale un besito, Ron. Dale un besito." I go, no. I always show my ring. I say, no, man. Casado, no puedo hacerlo. And that was part of the shtick.
How did you, again, not speaking Spanish, go to an all-Spanish show?
He would talk to me and wait for me to screw up. I would say a word, I would never say it right. He goes, ¿Qué? And that became part of the shtick of the show.
Right.
Aquí está, señoras y señores, Ron McGill.
¿Cómo está, don Francisco?
¿Cómo estamos, Ron? Asiento, por favor.
¿En qué país en el mundo tú puedes encontrar flamingos y pingüinos en el mismo lugar? Chile, Galápagos y Sudáfrica.
Chile, en Chile, en tu país.
Oye, Chile no existe. Chile es cuando hace frío. Yo vivo en Chile.
Yo quiero preguntarte algo. Un día yo puedo venir a este programa y me hablas nada más de los animales y no del español mío, por favor.
Yo tengo como 25 años viéndolos pelear a ellos dos.
30 años estoy hablando.
Y la historia continúa.
30 años y todavía. Tú recuerdas, cuando tú me conociste, yo sabía 2 palabras, sí y no. Y mira cómo lo estoy hablando ahora.
He would tell me after I started improving my Spanish, he would literally say, "Don't improve it too much, I'm not inviting you back." The shtick of the show is to make fun of your Spanish.
Right.
And he would go afterwards, we'd go in his dressing room, he goes, "I thought," he goes, "that's what we want to do. We want to have that kind of rapport back and forth."
You've been recognized in a lot of places. What's the most special place to you that you've been recognized?
For me, I guess the most special place is Cuba. The homeland of my father. I went back there doing some conservation work against the backlash of county officials who gave me all kinds of shit about it. And I was very thankful to a Herald columnist who defended me. Fabiola Santiago defended me. She said, he's going there for conservation. Conservation's, the animals in Cuba are not Democrats, Republicans, or communists. They're part of the heritage of all of us. Anyway, to make a long story short, I'll never forget, I go into Little Havana, I'm walking down the streets of Little Havana. People are yelling my name, Tony, from the balconies. Ron McGill! Ron McGill! No puedo creer que está en Cuba! Ron McGill! Ron McGill! People are coming down the stairs, and they're giving me food they don't have, Tony. They're offering me things that they don't have in their own house. They just want to take a picture, and I go, te veo siempre en Sábado Gigante. I go, ¿cómo tú ves Sábado Gigante si eso no es legal aquí en Cuba? Right. And they go, el paquete. I go, el paquete? What the hell is el paquete? They got this whole business over there, Tony, where they have these thumb drives. And these guys are like little Blockbuster video stores, little incognito in the corners, where they have the thumb drives, where these people are like pirating the show. They get it to these guys on the thumb, and then they rent out the thumb drives, and people watch Sábado Gigante every Saturday, part of La Paquete. It's all over Cuba. I mean, when they say the Cubans resolve, resuelve. Always. I mean, it's unbelievable. I look at the cars. I went to the old cars. I'm going, oh my God, that's beautiful classic. I want to have it. Let me look at the engine. I open up the hood. It's like a lawnmower engine. Exactly. Put together with rubber bands and paper clips from all kinds of different engines. These people are so ingenious in what they do. It was so rewarding to me because I got to be honest with you, Tony. I'd never been to Cuba. And I remember my father, who had since passed away, thinking he was New York. So when I went to New York from the little Cuba, that's the way he spoke. And when I went into Cuba, I realized, no, he was Cuba. I saw my father's face in every one of those faces when they came to me and said, oye, hermano, ¿cómo está, compadre? All the stuff. These are all the terms my father used to use. I said, wow, this is where my roots are. Yeah. Here, Tony, they would invite me into their little bodegas and give me food, and they would not take my payment. I had to throw the money at them. Go, no, tú amigo, tu familia aquí en Cuba, tú no puedes, tu dinero no vale nada aquí. How can you do that when I know you're starving? When you have nothing. You have nothing. You have nothing. And that makes me proud of them. Makes me proud of my heritage. So that's probably the most meaningful to me now. That's the most surprising recognizability of the Sábado Gigante show. That guy Jim Fowler on Wild Kingdom. He became one of my biggest mentors.
Wow. It's like meeting Dan. So like the same way that you have that with Jim Fowler, where you're sitting there watching TV as a kid, I have that same moment where I'm watching him on PTI or whatever, and I'm looking at him, and then now all these years later, we're working together, and he's one of my mentors.
One of the most down-to-earth guys, and he's the one who taught me all this stuff. And of course, he was a huge international star. Mm-hmm. So I asked him to go down with me to Panama to work on this Harper Eagle project. And we had to go way into the rainforest in the Darien, which is on the border of Panama and Colombia. It's not a very safe area, but it's an incredible forest.
A lot of people.
Exactly.
A lot of bad people. Evildoers there.
So we had to take a dugout canoe for 4 hours down the river to get to this village of these indigenous people. I mean, these people living in the forest. Like no electricity, no nothing.
In the forest.
Oh, women bare-breasted, stuff like that. Right. So I got the GPS to go there, and Jim's with me. After 4 hours, we finally get to the riverbank where the village is, and the chief comes out. Guy just in literally a loincloth. He's wearing nothing else than some beads. From a movie. This is the same thing as in a movie. He comes up, he looks at me and he goes, Ron McGill. And I'm not. Now I'm sure I'm being punked. Now I'm sure. Come on. Who's doing this? Where's the camera here? What's going on here? And Jim looks, oh, come on. I'm the one who's being punked here because Jim's the international star. I'm the zookeeper. And I paid this guy to do the Ron McGill, and who's Jim Fowler, right? And I realized it. And he goes, and I go, ¿Cómo tú me conoces? Sábado Gigante. I go, Sábado Gigantes. Si tú no tienes electricidad en el bosque, ¿cómo tú puedes mirar?
Televisor.
No tiene nada. No, te voy a enseñar. We walk with this guy into the village, and as we're walking in the village, they got a television set up there that's rigged in one way or another to a car battery with a satellite dish. And they rig it in such a way that every Saturday, it was like movie night for the entire village, Sábado Gigante. Oh my God. Tony, one of the greatest rewards I've had in my career was they couldn't believe that I was there because they see me on this show, And then I said, let's make a video, you guys. And when I got back, I showed it to Don, and he put it on the show.
And they saw their own video.
And to this day, that village is the most famous village in Panama because those are the indigenous people that were on Salvo Gigante.
Wow.
And it was just, and it was a great reflection on Don Francisco too, because he said, this is what my show is all about.
Yeah.
This is what my show is all about. And this shows you how we can connect. You know, so for me, listen, dude, I had lived such a surreal life. I say this.
Really have. I'm not saying that to blow smoke.
But
you have lived an incredible life.
Except for you kicking my ass in basketball. But anyway, other than that, you know, the bottom line is, if I stepped out of here and die, no one should shed a tear for me because I have lived way beyond any dream I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
I've got an incredible wife, incredible kids, incredible friends. You know, I say it, I've said it on the show. My favorite saying in the world is that life is not measured by the number of breaths that we take. It's measured by the number of times your breath is taken away.
Yeah.
Breathtaking moments define the quality of your life.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
McGill.
All right. Have me a hot dog.
Con cual, donde sea papi, voy, donde, con cual, donde sea papi.
That's right, it's time for Against the Spread! And it's brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Mike, kick us off.
Headed out to the ice. I like the way that the Washington Capitals have bounced after this Four Nations break. Alexander Ovechkin with a hattie in his last game.
They bounced back. You're happy how they bounced back.
No, I liked how they bounced on that thing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Calgary Flames coming over from Canada. It's a road trip. And honestly, the Capitals are just playing really good hockey. I'm a fan of them. They're probably going to get cursed by the President's Cup curse. It's looking that way. But I like them tonight. Minus one, not a Trump curse. The President's Cup. It's a thing.
No, the Trump Cup.
Yeah.
It was the Biden Cup.
Is it no longer the Biden Cup? Does it change names?
Wouldn't it? It's the president.
Well, it was invented under
minus 1.5 caps.
Against the Spread. Billy, bring us home.
I'm going to take the Ducks plus 1.5 against the Sabres. The Sabres are in last place in their conference. Now, granted, they had a big win against the Rangers last game, 8-2, and they would have covered against the Preds also, where they won 6-4 if that was a 1.5 point spread. But I'm 2-0 when I go Ducks this year. So
1.5 goal, not point. 1.5 goal.
No, there's points in hockey.
It's goals.
And then there's minuses in the.
It's a puck line.
Okay, I'm sorry, bouncing on over here. Anyways, I had your back. Yes, and jeez Louise.
Well,
Ducks fly together. I'm going to take the Anaheim Ducks today, plus 1.5 against the Buffalo Sabres.
I also like
against the spread.
I like how they bounce after the All-Star
Yeah,
break.
same.
Nice little performance against Boston. They're actually not
Put up
that
a bunch of
far off
points
in the playoff standings.
Yeah.
I liked it better when Tony and Ron McGill were not friends. I liked it better when they were enemies and Ron was blocking his shot. But I do like that Tony celebrated one of our most popular guests ever, and it is...
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
65 years old, Ron McGill. Is that today? Is it this week? What are we celebrating? Are we celebrating you today? Greg, go ahead and pick up your thermos. Good work by you.
We were never enemies. Tony and I were never enemies. We were competitors.
I mean,
then I got old.
Okay. Well, you haven't played basketball in a while. Is this your birthday today?
It's Friday, actually.
Okay. Well, happy birthday this week.
Birthday week.
We will celebrate it here with you. How are you feeling your age? Are you feeling vibrant or are you feeling decrepit?
Well, I'm no longer playing basketball, which kind of sucks. But listen, I wanted to stop before I ruptured an Achilles, blew out a knee, did something that would be horrible to try to recuperate from at my elderly age.
Can you walk us through here, Ron, what it is that you're most excited about coming up in your travels? Because I don't know how much more traveling you intend to do to foreign and exotic locales, and I don't know what's left on the bucket list either.
Well, I'm going back to the Galapagos in May, which is going to be a great trip. The Galapagos is always a great adventure. Then I'm taking that big expedition to Australia in June, where we're doing the documentary with WPLG, Christy Kruger. And then I'm taking the family to Patagonia, Chile, Argentina, the glaciers, everything out there in October. So it's a busy year.
Billy, you offered very little there.
Just warning, be careful in Australia, Ron, if you want to get to 66.
Let me get
you know
rid
what I
of
mean?
you here in a second.
What are you talking
Birthday
about? Billy?
week's
You
a
talking
bit
about-
much, huh, Ron? I mean, geez, Louise, you guys had a dinner the other day that you put up all these pictures in. You were celebrating you today. It's not until actually Friday. Like, it's birthday,
listen, guys.
not birth week, birth month. What is
Guys,
this?
guys, I prefer not to celebrate the day at all.
Oh, I
This was
know.
something
We can
that
tell.
my wife put together, and in hindsight, I'm really glad she did because some of my closest friends were there, and I didn't think all these people would travel from different corners of the place to come to this wonderful get together we had, and I felt very privileged that I had so many good friends there. So I was a great surprise. But normally, I don't celebrate my birthday. I don't. I think once you get over 40, those birthday things are done.
Do you feel fortunate that your birthday landed on the 28th and not on Leap Day?
Yeah.
I missed it by half an hour, Mike.
Wow. What do you
I
do
was actually
then?
born well, then what? I'm 6 or 5, whatever that's going to be.
Not the math.
16.
Not even close, but that's fine. He's an animal guy.
Wow, Chris Cody just schooled you on math.
I mean, it's not
That's
the
a
math.
tough look.
Ron, the largest shark ever tagged is now off the coast of Florida. Do you care to revisit what you have said about sharks, showering them with praise when
Defend
they are,
your shark propaganda.
when they are actually death machines?
So, Mike, let me ask you something. What does the fact that the largest shark that has been tagged is off the coast of Florida mean anything?
He's here to eat people.
Has anybody proven that largest shark has done any damage to anybody?
No, but that's convenient because you don't know what lies beneath the surface. Like, for example, in Australia, they have an abnormal amount of drownings.
Criminals.
Criminals.
It seems as though they're kind of like trying to skirt the law a little bit, which does not play well into their reputation. But these drownings, how do you think that ends?
Mike, you look at things through such a different lens all the time. You need to take the fogging off the lens. Australia is an incredible country. It's a great country. It's got phenomenal wildlife. Yes, 7 out of every 10 snakes there are deadly, but how many people come across them?
Ron, if you're in chest-high water off the coast of North Florida, and I say, Ron, the largest great white shark ever tagged is just a couple of yards away from you, what are you doing?
I'm probably going to get out of the water.
There you go. A defense rest.
Really?
Ron, I saw a story of Turks and Caicos where a tourist last week had her hands bitten off because she tried to take a picture with a shark in very shallow water.
Well, what does that reflect on? I'm so sorry she lost her hands. But listen, common sense just isn't common anymore. And I don't know what's happening in this world.
Right.
And I think a lot of this stuff is being driven by the stupid social media. Don't get me started in the social media with these people putting their backs to alligators to take selfie, trying to pet a freaking bison in Yellowstone. I'm tired of stupid. You can't fix stupid. The way you fix stupid is you get rid of it. And some of the animals are doing it for us.
Wow. Whoa! So the people have it coming is what you're saying.
Woo!
Darwin's hand.
Stupidness has its pitfalls.
A woman lost both her hands to a shark?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if that was a tuna, she'd have 2 hands. Because sharks are dangerous.
And they call
the
them
problem here is the
tuna.
shark people, not the people.
How do you lose both hands? I feel like if
Mike,
there's a shark, I'm keeping my hands separate. You're not getting both of these things.
Well,
You
if
know,
you
Mike-
hold the phone the way Greg does.
If you're just trying to take a picture of the shark and then the shark eats both your hands and the phone.
There's an age where the tipping point is to take a photo, you use both hands. You use both hands to also shine a light on your menu.
This is a classic example of how social media has driven people to stupidity.
Ron, I have a question. If you remember something several years ago, our makeup artist revealed to me this morning that she met you at a Miami sort of children's animal festival several decades ago and asked you if the chupacabra was real. Wow. And you gave her an assurance that no, it was in fact not real. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I became kind of a really bad guy there for a while because back in the chupacabra, I wish you wouldn't be phrasing things like several decades ago. It makes me sound like a fossil. But having said that, when the chupacabra craze started, it was all fun and games. And then all of a sudden, people started having rifles on their front porch and in the front of their house. And they were ready to shoot the chupacabra. And that's when it became dangerous. Listen, we got the skunk ape, we got Bigfoot. None of these things have ever been, accused of harming anything. We had the chupacabra that was now killing livestock. It was killing animals. It was sucking the blood and sucking the organs out. And people were afraid. And that was stupid. And this is all just playing on this fictional character that came up. I said, hey, listen, don't you guys find it coincidental that chupacabra is only found in Hispanic neighborhoods? Is it a racist animal? Why is it only going to the Hispanic neighborhoods? Why isn't it found anywhere else? And where's the proof of this stuff? And then when I finally proved it, I said, listen, you know what? The next animal that the chupacabra kills, that you guys say, oh, look at the chupacabra did here. It sucked all its blood out, took all its organs out. I want to take that animal live on television. We brought it on the new news live. We cut it open at Jackson Memorial Hospital doing an necropsy. And guess what? It was full of blood. It was full of its organs. And it showed that the 2 little bites on its neck were not a vampire, but a dog that had bitten it and strangled it and killed it that way, because that's what dogs do when they become feral. All right. And then all of a sudden, all the people that were making money off of selling the bumper stickers about the chupacabra and selling the T-shirts of the chupacabra and the radio stations that had all the lyrics and shticks going on, all of a sudden started losing all of their little clicks and attention because the chupacabra was proven to be false.
That's a great story. You eradicated the myth of the chupacabra personally.
I did, and I'm proud of it.
That's unbelievable. How am I just learning this now that Ron McGill proved forevermore ruined the myth of the chupacabra, ruined it by going to a hospital and providing
live
proof
on the 12 o'clock news? And one of the reporters got sick, vomited when we cut open the goat, and she saw the blood and the guts come out.
That's great television. Great television, Ron.
It was great television. But it proved to these fools who are all caught up in this, oh my God. You know, I remember when I first went out there, the police were out there, the news stations were out there, and I said, oh no, this is dog. Look, these are all dog tracks. And then, you know, una abuela, she was over there on her porch, and she goes, no, era grande con los ojos rojos y tenía fuego y las alas grandes. And all the cameras went right to her because here's this, you know.
Well, she's saying in Spanish that the thing had giant wings and was breathing flames. Like, yes, that
probably was.
Ron.
Yeah, well, they captioned that on that. That came on the news, and they put the little captions, so they subtitled for her about, oh my God, it had the red eyes and the big wings, and I saw it fly away myself with my own 2 eyes. It exists. So who's not going to believe Grandma Abuelita? Okay, instead of the goof Ron McGill from the zoo, who's trying to put some common sense into people. But no, common sense doesn't sell bumper stickers. It doesn't sell fear. It doesn't sell T-shirts. So that's what they went with. That's the society we live in today. That's right, Dan. That's right. Close your eyes and shake your head.
That's the society.
You probably contribute to that crap.
Nobody
probably would be one of the big.
He definitely did. I remember. Yeah.
He saw the fire wings. Yeah.
Related to the chupacabra, if you had to bet on one of these mythical creatures that have been rumored to be in existence, like Nessie, Bigfoot, the Yeti, the Chupacabra. Which do you think has the most compelling evidence, and if you had to bet on being the most real?
Yeah. It would have to be something in the ocean, because we have not been able to explore the ocean. I mean, you know, we've done some minor exploration, but when you think about the capacity, the size of the ocean, the depth of the ocean, places that we have not been able to go, I wouldn't be surprised for some mythical beast, if you want to quote unquote
Megalodon,
existing down that low, you know, and a place that still is yet to be. Listen, we know less about the ocean than we know about the moon, guys. So in the ocean, I would have a much broader open-mindedness regarding, you know, a mythical creature that could possibly still exist there.
Ron, you've been to Africa how many times? 50, 55?
54.
Okay. You know all about safari tours, the legality of it, the responsibility of it. What's your reaction to this headline? New Jersey man sues safari tour operator after rampaging hippo killed his wife in Africa.
Horrifically tragic. I feel terrible for that person. But anyone who goes to Africa, at least any responsible tour operator, makes it very clear. You sign a waiver that says, listen, you're going in with dangerous animals. Again, guys, this is not the safari ride at Disney. You know, Dan knows that well. Dan's been next to me. Well, these animals come right next to us. If you don't act properly, if you get charged, these are things that can happen. Now, Dan's probably thinking back, hey, Ron, why didn't you tell me this could have happened back then? I did tell you that could happen, probably not going to happen, but it's a risk we take. It's a risk we take when we get in our car every day we drive to work. How many people are getting killed every day on the road in car wrecks? Guys.
It's not a risk that I'm going to be driving in my car and get hit by a buffalo. That's not a risk.
Dan?
I don't have that risk here.
Sounds like
Dan.
Ron said she had it coming also.
That's also.
I did not say she had it coming.
Yeah, you're an animal apologist. Like, all these animals are out here murdering people, and you're finding excuses why it's okay for all of them. The Chupacabra was fine. The sharks biting people, they deserve it.
Dan,
women
why
should
did you
be
attack
gored.
that woman?
Animals are defending themselves and defending their territory.
Not sharks.
People would stop threatening them.
Sharks are invading our land.
Hippo does what a hippo does.
Mm-hmm. Ever heard of land sharks?
Wow, Billy.
Fins up.
Wow, Billy.
Ron.
Wow.
Ron, which animal would you like to kill you?
We've done this, I think, with him.
If it had to be any animal, it would probably be one of the big cats, a tiger, a lion, because it just bites you in the neck and it's over very quickly.
Is that over quickly?
Listen, let's talk about something better. Hey, Mike, how about those Cyclones, brother?
Whoosh, whoosh.
How about those Cyclones?
Whoosh. Did you watch yesterday?
I did not watch yesterday.
We got a dub. We won.
Oh,
we beat the
I got another
defending
one.
champ
Those
Chargers.
Those guys were rocking. Listen, you did a great job in that draft, brother. Those guys came back. They
Hear
took
that,
it
Billy?
all down. The Cyclones are for real
We are
this year.
back.
You're an Iñaki guy, huh? How about Iñaki, number 69 in your in the program, but not 69 in your hearts?
No, it's fantastic to watch these guys play because finally they're playing some offense. Instead of this, volley back and forth, waiting for somebody to make a stupid mistake, these guys are starting to take chances. They're going in at it.
No more
I
patty
love it,
cake.
man. It was great.
Ron, I want to play a game with you called Animal Cruelty or Funny. Okay. We're at a horse ranch here, and there's a human wearing a horse head, and he takes it off, and the horse gets really scared and runs away. The horse thinks he's talking to a horse, and then the human takes off the mask, and then the horse says, "Hey, you're not a horse!" And he runs away.
Truly horrifying practical joke.
Is that animal cruelty or funny?
I'm gonna lean towards cruelty.
Oh, come on, that's good. That's good comedy.
No.
Who's that dumb horse? That's a unicorn head. That horse should know it was
the
fake.
horse is in distress. It's sad.
So that's
It
cruel.
is. It is. It got a little stress there, and anytime you stress out an animal for the sake of humor, I call that animal cruelty.
See, once again, I was defending animals.
How about this? How about this video here of some birds? You tell me these birds are circling a tombstone here. Does this feel haunting to you? What's
Is this
happening
the same
here?
game? Animal Cruelty or Funny?
No, these are turkeys that are kind of going after each other as part of this whole.
Oh, they're playing tag? That's the lamest game of tag ever.
How's Harris feel about
just,
that?
It's turkeys. Turkeys do these things, and that's not animal cruelty. That's actually kind of funny because that's nothing that was inspired by us.
Ron, happy birthday!
It's like it's a euphemism for the election.
Thank you. Good seeing you, Ron. I do enjoy Greg saying, "How does Harris feel about that?" I'm guessing that Harris doesn't love that his or her tombstone is
being circled by turkeys.
Is being frolicked on by turkeys.
Hey, send me that graphic, man. I like that graphic. Thanks for working on that graphic. I like it. Send it to me so I can save it for my scrapbook. Thanks.
Ron, first of all, happy birthday. Also, I was at the zoo the other day, and I don't mean to cause trouble for you or make people not want to go to the zoo, but I was in the aviary, and there was a large bird that was like on the steps going up to like one of the levels in the aviary, and I was with my daughters and my wife, and I was walking down, so I thought I'd be like the brave dad that just like walks past the bird, so it kind of like shoos away, flies away, whatever, we can go, and it pecked at me, and luckily I didn't get hurt because it pecked at my sock, but you have some out-of-control birds in that aviary. They're just pecking at people if they try to walk by when they're on the walking path. What should I have done in that case?
Peck back.
Peck of dirt.
Continue walking. It's not a fatal peck. Probably a little startling, but I'll write a memo and address the issue and see if we can have some kind of disciplinary action against that bird.
All right.
I always sit out the bird aviary. I'm like, not for me. I'm good.
Ron, good seeing you. More than 150 false killer whales have washed up on the coast of the Australian island state of Tasmania. What does that mean? None of them are expected to survive.
That's usually what happens when these whales beach themselves. There's something wrong, either physically with them or something in the environment. It's almost like a form of suicide in a way. And it's a tragic thing, but these beachings with whales have happened across the millennium, and nobody really knows why.
A charming dismount. Just
thank you so much for that. Happy note to end my
What's
segment.
a false killer whale? Like accused but not convicted?
I'll talk to you guys next week.
See you later, Ron.
Bye.
Good seeing you, as always.
I wanted to ask him about the Luka Doncic defensive metrics. You see they're third in defense since the acquisition? Wow. Who had that?
That doesn't seem like something that would be sustainable.
It's surprising that in this small sample it's been third.
Wouldn't everyone simply assume that if Luka and LeBron James at 40 are going to be on the court at the same time, it's going to be very hard to find any three defenders in the world who are going to make that a good defense? That you can't hide the oldest player in the league and and everything that they did to Doncic that made Dallas decide, among other things, well, we can't have that playing defense in the final.
I would say it would be impossible to hide for a game. They've hit it for multiple games. I would have thought that there's plenty of places you could attack them defensively.
I wanted to ask you guys something because I'm assuming, now I know defense is always done poorly in the NBA in terms of how it's measured by the novice. But I'm assuming when you have Anthony Davis that you have a better chance of being good defensively than if you don't have Anthony Davis. And the Lakers, I think everyone can agree with that, even if they don't know anything about defense. The thing I wanted to ask you about Anthony Davis is that if any of you have seen that he has a new show on Max, Anthony Davis, Foul Play. It is a prank show.
About birds?
It is not about birds.
Are you pranking me?
I am not pranking you. There's a new show that I assumed
Had to be a playoff brow something. I can't believe that.
it was off of, I'm assuming, before he was traded to the Mavs. I'm guessing this was all put together in some sort of production deal on the side with the Lakers. Hey, Anthony Davis, you've shown very little personality over your career. You want an entire prank show? Sure. We'll just put your name on it and then make people think that you're more famous than you actually are.
In his defense, we didn't really know much about Ashton Kutcher before he did his prank show.
Well, the thing I wanted to ask you is I don't feel like you can go wrong with a prank show. I feel if you give me a prank show, I'll watch it for 9 minutes.
Sure.
I'll give you one prank of a chance to get me with a prank show. A prank show always works, does it not?
I feel like my dad could not host a prank show.
He's teaming up with Impractical Jokers. He is teaming up. That's part of what it is that they're doing on Max's Foul Play.
I've done some digging, and I found perhaps a player that you could pair with LeBron and Luka to make it a good defense. Now, they've been the number one scoring team, and they've also had the number one defense over the last 17 games, and they've been third since trading away Anthony Davis. However, there's this player, Jared Vanderbilt, who is essential to their defense because they have a defensive rating of 110.7 with him on the court, but one of 116 points without him on the court. So when he's on the court helping their defense, it certainly hides the issues that you would assume would be there with LeBron at 40 and Luka.
And he gets pranked in episode 1, apparently. Do you think Anthony Davis thought that the trade was part of the prank show when he found out about it?
That's a good question.
Is this the pilot?
I only saw episode 1, so I don't know if there are more. It was with
Was it good?
With D'Angelo Russell.
I heard Cameron Brink was in it, too.
Yes.
By heard, I mean I just read that in the Sports Business Journal.
That is correct. I am not willing to say that Vanderbilt is the reason that they are good at defense. I'm going to say it's because they played Charlotte in the first game.
They also played Denver.
That one was confusing to me because I saw that Jokic went like 2 for 7 from the field and had 12 points.
When Anthony Davis is supposed to be the guy that's
I'm like, what the hell? I didn't even understand that box score. When I saw it, that is the worst game in a box score I've ever seen Jokic have. Like it was 12 points. It was 2 for 7, and I'm looking through minutes trying to figure out, was he hurt? Like how is there a game Denver played in that Jokic only gets 7 shots and misses 5 of them?
That is the outlier, though. I think part of the explanation and why their defense has been so good is Hornets, Trailblazers, Jazz twice. Well, that would certainly boost that defensive rating.
It should be called Anthony Davis's highbrow humor.
That's what I was looking for. Something like that.
That's pretty good, actually. That's better than Foul Play. They got into.
Shouldn't it be lowbrow?
Or lowbrow, yeah.
Or anyway,
prank
just
show. It's
prank.
a lowbrow.
But they needed a brow. They needed a brow.
Yeah.
Do you know how uninteresting you have to be as a sports star for the only information for Chris Coady to have about your personality to be your single eyebrow? Like to play as a Laker. This is what I think of Anthony Davis. I think he will be criminally underregarded, the legacy of Anthony Davis, because he had to be number 2 to LeBron James. I think him healthy is a number 1, but he got undone by what happened with organizationally with the Pelicans that has since happened to Zion. And like Anthony Davis is a number 1. I can win a championship with Anthony Davis as my number 1, but because he played next to LeBron, I think he'll forever be underregarded as a basketball player, even though like I can make the argument that guy is a top 50, top 75 talent of all time.
He was such a star in college, though, when we used to actually talk more about men's college hoops. Such a star. I don't know.
He was on the Ruffles bag.
He doesn't have a lot of personality, though. We're stuck on the eyebrow, a single eyebrow.
But maybe that's on us, though.
LeBron sees something.
Yes, and?